You're watching the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship, brought to you by our 2023 partners.
Welcome to the Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium. This one is for bragging rights for the state of Texas. Houston Hurricanes are the visiting team. Dallas Mustangs playing at home here with the captains Corey Anderson for Dallas and Usman Rafiq and third umpire Vishnu Pillai. The toss will be spun by the man who has yet to call a toss. Seventh home game for the Dallas Mustangs. Heads is the call. Umpire. It is a tails. So, Corey, you've decided to have a ball. Tell me why.
Look, I spoke to Dave Agnew earlier, and he said obviously there's a little bit of rain around last night, a little bit of moisture. I think this wicket tends to get better and better. So I think if we can get anything out of it early, try our luck, but I don't think too much is going to change, to be honest.
And a bit of an accident for your wicket-keeper batter, Andreas Haus. How is he, and how do you replace him?
Power comes in for Andres. He decided to have a bit of a fight with a chainsaw and obviously came off second best on that. So he's doing fine, but he's got a couple of stitches in his little finger. So he's with us today, but not out in the field. So yeah, he'll be a loss, but I'm sure the boys can all grow a limb and pick up the slack that he's going to obviously be missing.
Fantastic. Go well.
Cheers. Thanks,
all right. So Uzi, lost the toss. You will be batting first. I don't know. My observation is that you, in the last few days, are better, or last few matches, are a better team when you're batting first. What do you think?
I think I agree with that for sure. I think batting first, the boys are not taking much, stress on themselves and able to express themselves as well. So I think even today, despite the conditions, of course, we were going to go ahead and bat first. So it just works out in best favor of us.
And you yourself haven't batted a lot recently. Do we get to see you up the order today?
Let's see how it goes today. I mean, I'm gonna try. I try to keep myself in certain situations. So I mean, if everything is going well, I would like to actually see other guys how they go out there and perform as well. So this particular season, I just wanted to just held back a little bit and just see how the guys go about their game.
Fantastic. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So the news from the center, Dallas Mustangs have won the toss and they'll have a ball. Welcome back to the Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium. This is Ehsan Adil with new ball in hand. Bowling first to Mukhtar Ahmed. This ball sails by outside off stump. First ball of the day underway in the match between the Dallas Mustangs playing at home against the Houston Hurricanes. The Houston Hurricanes having lost the toss. Dallas Mustangs captain Corey Anderson deciding to bowl first under what he believes will be helpful conditions. Munir Majid, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Brian Walters, and good afternoon to all the listeners who have tuned in. And what a home it is for the Dallas Mustangs. A lot of other franchises in the minor league would be envious.
A lot of international teams will be envious of this facility.
It's as stunning as an outfield you would ever see. We, of course, were in the stands during the major league, but
Yes.
when we got to walk this outfield, the first thing I did was took my shoes off, felt those blade of grass, and it is just out of the world how good it is. Ehsan Adil.
My goodness. Ehsan Adil bowling to Mukhtar Ahmed. Mukhtar Ahmed generally bang on target with his deliveries. The first delivery was online, as you'd expect. And now this next delivery defended into the offside for no run. So Ehsan Adil is the former Pakistani test bowler. Tall, fast bowler, top speed, probably around 82, 83 miles an hour. So quick enough at this level and generally very accurate. Bowling to Mukhtar Ahmed. Good delivery, defended in front of the stumps for no run.
Yeah, and Ehsan Adil played the Under-19 World Cup for Pakistan, and from there onwards, his progression to the national team setup was just within the span of a year and a half. Also played first-class cricket, and within 6 months, he was blooded into the national side on the tour to South Africa. So he got a test cap on that tour, and his first international scalp was Graham Smith. So he's been there, done that. He would love to get the scalp of his countryman Mukhtar Ahmed, who himself played for Pakistan back in 2015. And look at that delivery, Brian.
Great delivery. That ball pitching and leaving through to the wicketkeeper for Pakistan. The wicketkeeper for the Dallas Mustangs as Prathamesh Power. The wicketkeeper batter, the ordinary wicketkeeper batter, Andreas Haus, unfortunately, as Captain Corey Anderson said at the toss, had an unfortunate mix-up with a chainsaw, and he came out on the losing end of that battle. So he has a bit of an accident, and he's not going to be available for action today. So that's where Prathamesh Power gets the gloves.
You
So
see how
four dot balls to start. Next delivery, again, good delivery. A little bit of extra bounce that time, coming off probably the thigh pad and rolling into the slips cordon. So 5 dot balls on the trot. Good bowling here at the start by Ehsan Adil.
Yeah, you see how deep those slips are. Noman Anwar at first slip and Sujit Gowda at second. Very rarely you see 2 slips to start the innings, but that's just a representation of the quality of the bowler and the pedigree of Ehsan Adil. Hits the deck, and he's going to get a little bit of zip off the seam, and he's going to ask those questions of Mukhtar Ahmed, that's for sure.
No question. So I don't know if you all can hear. There's apparently some emergency going on around here somewhere. Got it. So good first over. Apparently there is some police activity going on. It's a police training activity from what we can understand. And in fact, looking over to the east of where we are right now, you see a few police cars going by in the background. So if you're hearing those sirens, that's what that is. And speaking of sirens, this might be a 5-alarm fire for the Houston Hurricanes because they have a lot of ground to make up. I don't know if mathematically they're out of it, but they certainly are going to be playing at this stage more for pride than anything else. 5 balls bowled already in this first over. Oh, fortuitous. He'll get off the mark, but that's not the most convincing of shots. The ball taking the outside edge. Looks like it came off the shoulder of the bat. Extra bounce that time. And a single off the last ball means that the first over completes after having scored 2 runs, the Houston Hurricanes.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले। हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
So the second over is about to resume, and if Ehsan Adil was a handful, Ruman Reis might be a handful and a half. That's the kind of opening pair that the Dallas Mustangs possess. Here comes Ehsan, and here comes Ruman Reis, and he's going to be bowling too. Mukhtar Ahmed.
Good pacey bowler, stocky. Doesn't have a long run-up. I mentioned this in a couple games last weekend. Ehsan Adil's run-up is about 30 yards, starts just inside the 30-yard circle. Ruman Reis has more of a short run-up, probably about 15 or so yards, but he's no less effective a bowler and certainly adds the variety with the left-arm pace, swinging it into the right-handed Mukhtar Ahmed. Left arm over the wicket, good delivery, lifting, and they take a quick single. That's Rishi Ramesh scrambling in from mid-wicket to field. And so another run on the board for the Houston Hurricanes.
Yeah, and within this first 10-minute or so passage of play, we're seeing how well the bowlers from Dallas Mustangs have started. And they've continued to do that right from game 1. Hitting those lengths where the batsmen have to fend at deliveries and they neither can go forward nor can they just stay back and try and cut or pull those balls. Couple deliveries already wrapped on the gloves. A little bit of stingers, so to say, to start the innings, and now it's Fahad Babar who's on strike.
Down the leg side, yet another wide signal by umpire Partha Patanaik. Umpire Patanaik is the umpire standing today at the racecourse end, which is the northern end of the ground here in Grand Prairie. Umpire currently at square leg, that is the theater end, is Samir Bandekar. Both of these umpires, obviously at this level, you're going to want capable umpires, and I certainly believe that you have that as this really experienced umpiring pair. Partha Patanaik used to umpire, even when I used to play sometime in the Reagan administration. That's driven into the covers. Good diving stop by the captain, Corey Anderson, turning back the clock there, diving it away. That's to his weak side, his right side, but making sure that he takes probably 4 runs away from Fahad Babar.
Yeah, and it looked like that ball might have evaded Corey Anderson. It was almost a full stretch dive, and he's slightly close in. He's not right on the edge of that 30-yard circle, so there may be a plan to get Fahad to drive just slightly uppishly in the air, although I'm going to refrain from any of those predictions.
This is good bowling so far. Roman Rais got the first one a little bit wayward, and then there also was a second wide. But when he gets it right, he can generally be a difficult bowler to get away. Because, again, that ball is swinging in from outside the off stump into the right-handers. And Fahad Babar faced 2 deliveries so far officially. Not yet gotten off the mark. And then Mukhtar Ahmed, 2 from 7. We've spoken about how aggressive a batter he is, but so far being held quiet by this opening pair. Next delivery, once again defended, and that is again Rishi Ramesh right at mid-wicket. Bang on target the last few deliveries here.
It's again that kind of a length where the ball is literally kissing the bails or so there's no option to step down or get a good stride in. You might be wrapped on the pad, so the batsman is forced to play on the crease. But there's no width on offer, or even it's not to the hips of Fahad that he could just clip it and get off strike. Mind you, he got stuck yesterday. He really couldn't get off the blocks against the Xphoria Giants.
Yep.
Wants to leave that behind and start afresh.
Looking aggressive here. Doesn't time it cleanly, but gets it over the outfield. That is down on the boundary. Sujit Gowda coming in from the ropes at deep square leg. One of 2 fielders outside the circle, the other being Hamad Azam down at deep third. So just 2 balls remaining here in over number 2. So, Munir, we can talk a little bit about how Houston's season has gone. I think for the most part, they will have wanted to put a better or made a better account for themselves. And as I said earlier, at this point, they may just be playing for pride, but you still want to see or give a good account for yourself here playing at this fantastic facility in Grand Prairie. Next delivery, oh, what a great ball again going by the outside edge. And maybe we can pick up on that point when we get back. 6 without loss after 2.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
All right, so we're back in over number 3. It's been a rather sedate start for the Hurricanes. And for them, it's important to have Mukhtar in there and taking advantage of the power play. They can absorb a couple of overs, or rather they can afford to absorb a couple of overs and then hope to explode. And there's only one change in the Hurricanes lineup today as Ehsan Adil continues. And again, it's that kind of uncomfortable length. It looked pretty high. Fahad Babar was crouching. Remains to be seen where the impact was. Was it on the flap above the knee roll? Looked more like thigh pad to me, but the fact that he was crouching would have gone against him. Brian, talk us through this replay.
Right arm over the wicket, trapped directly in front from a line. You don't think there's anything wrong with the line, but we're going to want to see it from the opposite direction. And here we go again. Coming in from that distance, a little bit hard to tell, but the point that you made, I think, is a good one. If you're crouching, then that negates the defense that you would have had that ball was hitting you too high. Bearing in mind, it's called leg before wicket, but if there's any part of your body that hits the stumps when the batter or when the umpire thinks that it would have hit the wicket, then you are out LBW. You remember that famous dismissal of Sachin Tendulkar when he ducked to avoid a Glenn McGrath bouncer, was hit in the helmet, and was adjudged to have been in front, and he was out LBW that way. So, without the ability to see up close, we can only rely on the general excellence of Samir Bandekar to assume that that one would have been sufficiently close enough to the stumps that he was adjudged at LBW. So that's the first wicket that goes down. Fahad Babar disappears for 1 run, and Joshua Trump is the new batter.
Yeah, still famously recall that incident and how much admiration the fans of Sachin Tendulkar still have for umpire Steve Buckner for his contributions over the years. But as fans, oftentimes your emotions take over. But when you come in a chair like ours, or you're part of the operation, you realize it's not an easy job out there. There's so many factors which are playing in, and mind you, the umpires always get one look. We saw a couple of replays from different angles, and for us it was touch and go. It was more of a 50-50 decision. The bails might have gone over the top, but watching it in person live at 130-ish kph, you need hawk eyes, not the technology. And this one is, again, it's a huge appeal. And has the finger been raised? I didn't see the finger come up, but Ehsan Adil was just pumping his fists as if he was already into a celebration.
Ehsan Adil thought that this one was closer than the one before it.
I would agree.
So I really want to see this replay, because Ehsan Adil, his reaction after having been turned down, suggests that he thinks that this one was even closer. In fact, that this one was even more adjacent. So Joshua Trump trapped on the crease, and a good delivery by Ehsan Adil. We'll wait to see the replay to see exactly how close this one was. But you get the sense that Joshua Trump might consider himself lucky to not be walking back to the pavilion.
Yeah, off the naked eye, Brian, my initial intuition was Josh was facing to flick it off his pads towards mid-wicket, or rather a little more square. So it may have been drifting down. But you see that back foot guard right on middle stump, and then he has a slight open stance. And this one doesn't shape into his pads. It just pitches and leaves the batsman.
Yeah, a bit of a loose drive there by Joshua Trump. The ball outside off. You get the sense that Joshua Trump is under a little bit of pressure. He's been carrying the batting for the Houston Hurricanes this entire season. The best batter in the lineup for the Houston Hurricanes by some distance. And in fact, so far for the year, 265 runs, 60 runs ahead of the next closest batter, Mukhtar Ahmed, who is his partner at the other end. 26 fours, 13 sixes, and 3 50s. So he's definitely carrying the batting. He might be feeling some pressure here.
And this is just that teasing length again. The length has been impeccable from the two opening bowlers in this initial outburst. It's very difficult to get that length away, and even you would think that it's short of length, but it's not the kind of length where Joshua Trump, mind you, is very strong on the pull, can just wait on the delivery and dispatch it to the onside. It's a length that asks those kind of questions, whether you can afford to get behind the line and bring out the square or the horizontal bat shots. It's not going to be easy, though.
Well, bearing in mind Ehsan Adil at around 6'4" gets good bounce. And this pitch has a lot to offer. If you bend your back as a bowler, you can get out of it what you put into it. And Ehsan Adil really making the ball talk with last or 2 balls remaining here in the third. Looking for the pull that you mentioned, because you see that fielder deep square leg is going to be in with a potential chance for that type of delivery. Josh Trump a little bit late on that pull. Ehsan Adil really bowling well here, working on a wicket maiden. I'll tell you, with 1 ball remaining in this over, there is absolutely every intention of Ehsan Adil to continue to apply the pressure to Joshua Trump and the rest of the Houston Hurricanes, who very frankly at this stage look a little punch drunk. So a bit of a change in the field. Look at this, going on full attack. There are 3 slips, if you can believe it. 3 slips in a T20. I don't know that I've ever seen this happen in a T20. Ehsan Adil has his tail up, and the Dallas Mustangs are on full attack. This looks more like a test field setting than it does a T20. Here Ehsan Adil, and Trump now pulling this away. That is Rishi Ramesh at deep square leg. That eases a bit of the pressure, and Joshua Trump is off the mark. But what a great over by Ehsan Adil. Takes a wicket. He thinks that he should have had another one. And that is the end of over number 3. The score is 7 for 1.
गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
This is the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship. Lakshmi is the official partner of Minor League Brew Cricket, MILC's Cricket for the Community partner. And the MILC's outdoor partner is Dolphin Media. And Munir, we were talking a little bit about Houston, what they've done so far in the season, and what their prospects are for playing after the regular season has completed.
Yeah, and it was an interesting topic you brought up in the second over.
We never did get back to it.
Yeah, we never did get back to it, but it's never too late. There's still 36 overs to go in this game. And as far as Houston are concerned, things have just evolved and changed for them during the course of every game so often that it's never too late for that kind of discussion. When they look at their season in hindsight, 3 wins and 4 losses out of 7. They lost the game last night on Duckworth Lewis. They lost 1 game on due to super over. It was a tie against the Mustangs, the very first game of the season for these two teams. And this one, again, from Ruman Reis. It's that tight line in length. Josh is trying to break the shackles. He's come in and he's been under pressure. Just 1 of 7 deliveries now. Mukhtar himself is on 2 of 8. So, yeah, they're soaking the pressure and they're looking for something to happen in their favor. Coming back to that point, the kind of games they've lost. I felt that the only game where they've been convincingly beaten, Brian, was by the Michigan Cricket Stars, where they lost by a big margin of 51 runs. Besides that, every single game they would look back and think that they could have won it. The game against Mustangs, the first game, it was a tie. Last ball, 1 run was needed and Usman got out. And then they lost the super over, as that's just played off the gloves. Rather steep bounce and they get through for a single. You would think that they've lost 3 games by such tiny margin. They might as well have been 6 wins out of 7. But I'll tell you what, that's not really the case, because that one stride, the big stride, final stride that takes you over the line, oftentimes it takes so many factors behind the scenes to click. They've just looked off pace overall. They've not looked like a team that's threatening. And after those first 3 or 4 games, you would have thought, are they really a team that's going to be in that final mid-table tussle for the playoff spots? They haven't looked like a unit so far to me.
Your point is accurate with regard to a small margin of error separating the wins from the losses, as Mukhtar Ahmed has to wear one off of his thigh pad. And I think you can tell a lot about a team by their body language, and the body language so far in the season, particularly as the season has progressed past those initial first few games, has suggested that it's not all there for them this season. So, you know, they have time to go back to the drawing board, may not have time to do it for this season, because you get the sense that they're at this point are they're on the outside looking in. But I think that you will see in future seasons where they effectively get to the point where they're going to be living up to the expectations that they have for themselves. I don't think that that will be the case this year, though.
Yeah, again, that game last night, they could come back and say, after this ball, we'll get back to it. Again, that tightish length, very hard to get away. They can come back and say that we lost it on Duckworth Lewis by 4 runs and maybe 1 extra 5 wide down the leg side if we didn't do that, or if somebody held on to a catch of the last official delivery of play, we would have been over the line.
Right.
The way I see it is, out of the 31 overs, they were dominated by Exforia Giants for about 25 of those. And although it gets tight, such is the nature of T20, but they never looked like the side who was on top, even when they were batting. It was a rather conservative effort. They exploded towards the last 4. And even when they were bowling, they were never in it, as this is on the pads of Mukhtar. Nicely flicked. It's just going to be a single. So, yeah, they've got to go back to the drawing board. And like you said, Brian, maybe not this season. They'll have to come back and, re-strategize as that over comes to a close. At the end of 4, it's only 9 for 1.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
So back here at the Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium, lovely conditions if you are anywhere close to Grand Prairie and want to come out and watch some cricket. Air temperature, Munir, I would estimate it around 85 degrees, which might sound like a lot if you are in New York or Michigan, but for those of us here in Texas, feels like absolute joy. Adil starting over number 3.
Oh, and that's a no ball. And if you look at that delivery, absolute peach, the way it came out of Adil's hand, opened up Mukhtar Ahmed, tore him apart, and then you realize that you just overstepped. So what it ends in is just a freebie that's going to come up next, a free hit.
Oh, what a great delivery, but slanting in. Adil always pushes the bounds or the limits of that popping crease. It amazes me that every single delivery, at the most, there is an inch. At the most, there's an inch behind that line. And I've never understood why fast bowlers have to come so close to that line. So he's invariably going to go over once or twice a game because he tries to get as close as possible. But this is a free hit.
Look at that. I hope the cop cars which were hovering in that parking lot have cleared up. We don't want any tickets issued to Mukhtar Ahmed. They went straight in that parking lot. And oftentimes at these kind of shackles, this kind of rub of green going your way is what you need. The Hurricanes were just struggling until this point in time. And luckily, out of all the arrows which have been hurled at them, you get a freebie, and Mukhtar is going to pounce on that free hit.
Oh my goodness, that was launched out of the stadium. So at the toss, third umpire Vishnu Pillai mentioned to both captains that for any balls that are lost, the responsibility will be on the bowling side to replace balls. Well, I can guarantee you now that it is now Dallas who's going to have to come up with a new replacement ball because that ball was launched again out of the stadium. The dimensions in that direction to the right of the scoreboard is about 69 yards to the boundary. So that ball landed outside of the boundary probably by a good 15 or 20 yards. So you're looking at something close to an 85 or 90 yard hit and absolutely launched out of the ground that time by Mukhtar Ahmed. Maybe that's something that they'll be able to use to help him free the shackles.
Yeah, and while they retrieve the ball, you brought up the temperature here. For us Houstonians who have been covering games in Prairie View for the last month or so, this is rather pleasant.
Oh my goodness.
We have walked into the Prairie View Cricket Complex on mornings of games with maybe around 9:30 or 10 a.m. and the temperature is already scorching at about 100 degrees.
Yeah.
It's rather pleasant. It's about 85 right now, so this is 15 to 20, a good 15 to 20 degrees less than what we are used to.
My goodness.
And you gotta love Dallas every time I come up here from Houston. Very similar cities, but still they're so different in many ways.
Adil, oh, did that get something lit? The fire under Mukhtar Ahmed, and he's hearing it from his former teammate and countryman Adil. And now umpire Mukhtar Ahmed stepping in to, did I say umpire Mukhtar Ahmed? Umpire Samer Bandekar stepping in to make sure that that was broken up. Because Adil is a fiery competitor. He's not a bowler who likes being attacked. And I don't know that any fast bowler likes being attacked in that way. And so he's definitely having a word or two to say to his former countryman.
Yeah, and especially for fast bowlers, being hit down the ground.
Yes.
For a 6, that's something you just don't accept.
A fast bowler will accept being pulled for 6. He will not accept being driven for 6. In the words of the former West Indian fast bowler Colin Croft, if you want to drive, get a car. You're not getting anything to drive here. I guarantee this is not going to be a drivable ball. There's the short
One of
ball.
those, yeah.
And look at the follow-through. Follow-through, he ends up right in the face of Mukhtar Ahmed again. My goodness, this is absorbing. I love this type of activity on a cricket field. But Samir Bandekar just there playing the police officer saying, let's just not get carried away with that type of activity.
Yeah, and driven is such a polite manner of describing that shot down the ground. It was a bottom-handed heave through the line. And it went about a good 85 to 90 meters.
Oh.
I like the fact that the umpire stepped in as soon as that confrontation started.
Yes.
They're not wasting any time.
Yes.
Just moving on with the game.
Ehsan Adil again, short of length again. And again, that's going to be as full a ball as Mukhtar Ahmed will get for the rest of the spell. I guarantee it. So Ehsan Adil, in the last couple of weeks, I have seen him bowl with more purpose and bounding in more resolutely than any time in the last few years. You've seen him around the T20 circuit in the U.S. in the past few years, and I'll tell you, as a fast bowler, former international fast bowler, he has a lot to offer. Yeah. But maybe he'd been somewhere around 85–90% in terms of effort and in terms of execution. But this last few weeks, he has absolutely been on top of his game. Just 2 balls now remaining in over number 5. Full, sliced away deep third, and over the top for 6. That's Adnan Haroon, who is back on the boundary at deep third. You get the sense that he might have had a chance to catch it had he been back on the rope, but it does fly over his head for 6.
Yeah, and as the ball flew, I was looking at Adnan Haroon. Looked like he came in a couple of steps and then started to backtrack, almost went in a semicircle.
Yes.
There you see it on the corner of your screen. So you have to wonder, if he picked the flight of that ball to perfection and stationed himself right on the boundary, was it catchable? We wouldn't know. But we spoke about that heave down the ground. A fast bowler, you would say, that would accept this. But if you look at Ehsan Adil's face, aren't we a greedy breed? I use the term we because me and Brian ourselves have been a bit of gentle medium pacers with the red cherry in our days.
Well, you know what they say. Is that a drop? Oh, it might have been an edge that was just dropped. I want to see that replay. It may not have been an edge, but in any event, it's the end of the over. Munir, as they say, the older we get, the faster we used to be. So that is the end of over number 5. The score is 22 for 1.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
So, 5 overs gone in this innings, and finally there's some impetus as far as the Hurricanes are concerned. It's been rather sedate in the first 4 overs, but a couple of sixes is going to give them the paces. Still just 1 for 20 in 5, in spite of those 2 sixes, a free hit, a wide. So you can assume how scratchy and what kind of a struggle it's been for the Hurricanes so far in this game.
Hamad Azam into the attack. I believe that the actual score is now 23 because that 6 that went over Adnan Haroon's head would have been adjudged a 4. Not exactly sure, but either way, okay, we'll get the exact score shortly. But either way, the first ball of this over by Hamad Azam goes for a single. Now, this is the last over of the power play. So Houston the scoring picked up a little bit in that last over, over number 5. 13 runs coming from that over. But still, the overall run rate is only 4.45. As Hamad Azam bowling to Mukhtar Ahmed, you expect Mukhtar Ahmed to look more aggressive here. Tries to go down the leg side, and that is going to be, oh my goodness, almost a direct hit at the non-striker's end. This should be adjudged, I believe, to be a leg by. In fact, no signal from umpire Partha Patanaik, so that obviously came off the bat. But Houston so far struggling, apart from that one over, Munir not able to really get anything going with the bat.
In spite of those 2 sixes, there's been an odd boundary, but still if you look at the rate at which they're going, it's just 4 and over in the context of T20. You want strong power plays if you're batting first. Power plays, oftentimes we underestimate the importance, but they hold in terms of your innings, it really dictates how you will shape up in the second half and how you would score in the death. 22 right now in the 6th over is just not at par with where you need to be.
Nowhere near. And you get the sense the 2 best batters statistically for Houston for this entire season are both at the wicket. So you get the sense if there's going to be any injection, it's going to come from these 2. Looking to work this on the leg side. Adnan Haroon, who is now interestingly off of the rope, coming into that short mid-wicket position. So just 2 balls remaining here in the power play. And it's going to be interesting to see how Houston is able to shift through the gears. Obviously, during the power play overs, the setup is such that you can score more quickly because everyone is inside the, just 2 allowed outside the circle. When the field is allowed to be more defensive, then you wonder how that will impact the scoring opportunities. Looking big, advancing down the track at Hamad Azam. Heave. That's a former Pakistani first-class player to another former Pakistani first-class player. And yet another dot ball. It looks like the pressure is starting to build now on Mukhtar Ahmed.
And what's going to be pretty interesting to me is we've talked this time and again about Dallas. Their main strength lies in those 3 spinners who come on through the middle overs. And there's going to be Nosh Khanjige, Ali Sheikh, Adnan Haroon, Sujit Gowda. They will come into play as this one. Again, Mukhtar is just trying. Both these batsmen have been trying to get away, but it's not happened for them. We'll come back to that point about the spinners after this little break at the end of power play. 23 for 1 are the Hurricanes.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can join us on the Twitter or X at MIL Cricket. And please, if you have anything to say to us, we'd be more than happy to have that discussion with you. Munir Majid and I are here, and we love hearing from anyone who's watching, whether you've been a fan of cricket for the last 50 years or whether this is your first cricket match. Kind of touch base, let us know where you are and where you're coming from. We'd be absolutely happy to see that.
Yeah, you cool Gen Z kids, the ones on the threads and the X's, we old foxes cannot keep up with the overdose of social media. But Brian, in the previous over, we spoke about the spin trio that's going to come in, and like we predicted right at the end of power play, it's Ali Sheikh who has come in as that takes the shoulder of the batter, or rather the outside edge, and just runs off. Adnan Haroon couldn't stop it, so a welcome boundary. But the interesting point I was trying to make was in the game last evening and the one on Wednesday, we saw it was a square turner. A lot of balls were like, if they're thrown up, if the bowler has a brave heart and he's looking to put revs on the ball, It's turning, as we saw even that one turn just a little bit. Now, it's going to be very interesting for me. There was some drizzle last evening, and hopefully the pitch has been rolled in on top of that drizzle. Does it flatten things out just a little bit? It remains to be seen if those three spinners would be as effective as they have been in other games. Does the rain and rolling in the morning play any kind of a role in negating that turn? No pun intended. If you're the Hurricanes, you don't even like puns at this point in time in your season. Yeah, I haven't seen any turn, but mind you, Ali Sheikh is not a big turner of the ball. He likes to just push it. A lot of arm balls. Nosh Tush Kenjige, when he comes on, we'll have to see what kind of purchase he gets out of this pitch. As this is nicely punched off the back foot by Joshua Trump. He moves on to 4 of 14, in fact 4 of 15, so they've got to be careful. The Hurricanes, they kind of have a knack of just falling behind the curve, and then they've a lot of catching to do in the final stages of the innings.
And so that formula will not always work for you as the last ball of the over now. Helped into the onside. That should just be a single. Rishi Ramesh coming off the boundary. That formula can get you in trouble more often than not. And you sort of have to capitalize when you have your two best batters at the crease. That's the end of over number 7, 29 for 1.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, तेरे घर लाने का।
All right, so 7 gone, 29 for 1. Yeah, you heard it right. It's 29 for 1. And Hamad Azam is going to continue, and he would be bowling to Mukhtar Ahmed. This is the best pair for the Hurricanes as far as the stats for this season go. And having soaked so many deliveries, the best case scenario, or the any case scenario rather, for the Hurricanes is these two now take it deep, and they not only catch up on the strike rate, but look to get them to some kind of a respectable total. 150, 160, thereabout, or maybe 170-ish, as this is nicely played off his pads, and they'll look to come back for a second. An easy couple.
So when you have fallen behind, one of the best ways that you can get caught up is by looking to run ones and twos. And immediately, as soon as that ball was played, you heard Mukhtar Ahmed shout, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So 4s and 6s you think or you hope will eventually come. But it's important that you still keep the scoreboard ticking, and the way that you do that is by looking for opportunities to pick up those extra runs. And now with the field set, or spread rather, you're out of the power play, and you're certainly going to want to find opportunities to score. You may not hit all the 4s and 6s, at least not yet, but you really do need to find ways to manufacture some runs if you're the Hurricanes.
And if you're Mukhtar Ahmed and you're looking to break the shackles, just 17 of 24, Hamad Azam might be the right kind of pace coming at you. Nicely played, just flies off the shoulder of the bat for a single. And Brian with 13, just under 13 overs to go in this inning, 76 deliveries. 100 runs gets you to about 130 from here onwards. That's way under par. So in those 13 overs, you at the very least need to go at 10 runs and over. 10 runs and over from this stage. Now you may creep in some 15 runs over. That gives you a buffer to play 3 or 4, 5 or 6 runs overs. But the point I'm trying to make is they just cannot sit on the back foot and wait for things to happen. The impetus in this innings is needed now. Absolutely right now.
It's a good point. You don't want to be reckless, but my goodness, if you're now thinking of what do you need to do as a batting side to sort of start accelerating, and some part of it you'd think would have to be, oh my goodness, you would think it would have to be involving one of these two taking the bull by the horns and attacking. interestingly, you'll see on this replay, look at Joshua Trump jogging down, and then Mukhtar Ahmed coming this way, but immediately getting on his horse because he knows the two fielders at backward point who you'll see, Noose Kenjige, and you'll also see Ali Sheikh at that position, two of the best fielders in the country at that position, and they can hit from that range without trouble.
Yeah, that's drifting down the leg side and maybe a little high. Josh was hopping on his toes. Hamad Azam is pretty tall, so when someone like him hits the deck just back of a length, it's likely going to go over the top of the stumps on majority of wickets in this country.
Yeah, no question. He was off the ground, Joshua Trump, when that hit him, and it hit him above the knee roll. So that's definitely going above.
A little bit of width, but Josh finds that fielder at backward point. Looks like that's Ali Sheikh.
Noose
Kenjige. Both of them, you can pray to the gods that you don't want to risk any kind of single to them. 8 overs gone. This is 34 for 1.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Welcome back to the Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium in Grand Prairie, Texas. A pleasant day for, or at least by Texas standards. Here in Texas, it's been triple digits for much of the last several months. But this is the first day in several where it's actually pleasant enough that if you're in the shade, you actually feel very comfortable. Houston, after having been inserted to bat by the Dallas Mustangs, are finding the going pretty tough. After 8 overs, they have 34 runs on the board. They're scoring at the rate of 4.25 and over. That over rate will not excite anyone. That scoring rate will not excite anyone in the Houston camp. And the Dallas Mustangs are at the stage of the innings where they usually bring their spinners on and apply the pressure. So Hamad Azam is the change bowler who has bowled from a couple of overs from the racecourse end. And this is now Ali Sheikh with ball in hand, who's going to be bowling to Mukhtar Ahmed. And I really do believe that you will start to see Mukhtar Ahmed looking to cut loose. It really is getting to the stage in the innings where one of these two, and I believe that would have to be Mukhtar Ahmed, will sort of accelerate and go from where they are. He's been at the wicket long enough. 19 from 26 opening the batting with 1-4 and 1-6. Driving it right back to Ali Sheikh, though. Ali Sheikh is going to be a difficult bowler to get away. He's difficult to attack, generally very accurate. And Munir, when he bowls, he generally, even though he doesn't turn it a lot, his location, his control makes it hard. But speaking of attack, this is launched. Okay, if the first 6 that went in that direction went 85 yards, I'm going to put this one at 95. The first time it bounces is beyond the playground out of the stadium. What a strike.
And when you look at this bat swing, it goes in the direction of long on, but you'll see on that replay, it goes rather towards mid-wicket cow corner. So he had that angle face of the bat, but the momentum he generates, he's got such a powerful bat swing, and it comes with such a rapid recoil that if it pings off the middle, it's going 100 yards.
Oh, my goodness. That was an amazing strike. And once again, the Dallas Mustangs are going to have to be in the position of needing to supply a replacement ball themselves. Boy, so I will tell you that this is a really difficult time if you are going to be somebody who is in control of the replacement balls for the side, because there have been a number of 6s that have been hit out of the ground in that exact area. Ball has been replaced, and Ali Sheikh again ready to continue to Mukhtar Ahmed, short of length. That's well fielded by at backward point by Adnan Haroon.
Yeah, and if you are the Mustangs, you know that You've got the likes of Corey Anderson, Hamad Azam, some really big hitters of the cricket ball. So you can expect to pay back this retrieving you're having to do in due course of time.
Yep.
And again, we see that same thing, that after a 6, big shot coming, there are again a lot of dot balls. Mukhtar unable to rotate the strike. So in spite of that huge 6, there's 3 dot balls in this over, only 6 of 4.
Ali Sheikh to continue. Doesn't get quite to the pitch, but he gets a thick outside edge, and it will run away to deep third for another 4. Welcome runs here for Mukhtar Ahmed and the Houston Hurricanes.
Yeah, and he's catching up just fine. We said what a labored effort this has been. Now he moves on to 29 of 31. But still, that last 6, I said, he was looking to go rather straight and took the inside half of the bat and went more towards cow corner mid-wicket. This one, probably 180 degrees apart from where he was looking to hit it. So it's been a scratchy effort. Again, you see that big heave. He's early in the shot. Bottom half of the bat and nothing to it. So 9 overs completed. In spite of those 2 boundaries, they're still going at under 5 and over. 44 for 1 and 9. We'll be right back.
y te vamos a levantar, yo voy personalmente, te llevamos a la iglesia, mira, hacemos de comer cada domingo para toda la gente gratis, para que comamos, para que tú no andes sufriendo, trae a tu mamá, dame sus medidas, mira, yo tengo ropa de mi esposa y si no le queda, le compramos, ¿verdad?
Looks like Hamad Azam will continue from the racecourse end, bowling to Joshua Trump. Joshua Trump looking to get after the bowling. You see him take advance down the pitch a couple steps, trying to get to that pitch, but Hamad Azam doing the right thing, shortening his length, played back to the bowler for no run.
Yeah, and this is, we've been talking about Mukhtar, but got to keep an eye on Josh. This is rather uncharacteristic of the kind of innings he's known for playing. 4 of 19 deliveries, and we saw Fahad Babar had similar struggles yesterday.
That did not go where he was looking to play it. He was looking to play over extra cover. That's his favorite scoring area. That one is sliced down to deep third. Ali Sheikh down there on the boundary to make sure that that's just a single. Josh Trump now 5 from 20. His strike rate is 25. He's normally a batter who scores more at a strike rate of 125. And so you'll get the sense that he has some making up to do. Only going at 4.82 runs and over here, the Houston Hurricanes. That translates to a rate of, or to a score of 96. My goodness, I think they'd need at least 50 more than that to be competitive in this game. In the air, catchable? No. That's Roman Reyes at mid-off, I'm sorry. And the ball stayed in the air for quite some time. But that shot, to me, Munir, shows some evidence that both of these two are going to want to start accelerating. Mukhtar Ahmed, 29 from 32, still striking it at less than a run a ball. And we just talked about Joshua Trump.
Yeah, Mukhtar has been desperately trying all this while. He knows that he's faced 33 deliveries, not many returns for it so far.
That's clipped in the deep. That's just a single. So, look, we keep saying it, and we've maybe at this point belabored the point, but 4.76 runs and over in a T20 is not going to get you anywhere. So you know you're going to have to shift through the gears. It is still the stage now where even if you go at 8 runs and over, 8 and over now gets you to 129 from where you are now. 14 and over, obviously, I think out of reach, but it's somewhere around 11 and over gets you to 160. That should be where they're aiming. But they have a lot to make up from where they are now. And half-hearted appeal. Keeper appealing. Hamad Azam appealing more out of, as an afterthought. Looking to me, Munir, to the naked eye, like that might have been drifting down leg.
And Mukhtar just pointed his bat to the umpire. Not that it matters, the umpires are going to call it like they see it, but there was definitely that shape back into the right-hander. Bat and pad were very close together. And unless we really slow it down, we can't further analyze it. But no harm done, so just a dot ball. Only 3 runs of this over.
Yep.
And we said they need to probably go at a minimum of 10 and over. They did that in the last over, but this one, just 3 runs.
Get a single here. That's backward point. Noshkenjige is in the position to clean up. So that is the end of over number 10. 48 runs. My goodness, they have some making up to do here, the Hurricanes. 48 for 1 after 10.
So Ali Sheikh is going to continue. He's bowled a couple of overs, went for 12 runs. The first over was a good one, just 2, but the last over he bowled went for 10. The point I was earlier making, Brian, the case of Joshua Trump, he's batting on 6 of 21, and he's been going at a notch of 160 strike rate this season. And I mentioned that Fahad Babar had a very similar innings yesterday, and the pattern that I'm seeing is, again, those same demons that creep into the minds where number 5, 6, 7, 8 or so haven't been exposed enough. They don't have runs. So you'd rather start taking a very conservative approach. But you got to do, I guess, keep one thing in mind, and I'll come to that after this delivery. Nicely driven into the gap, and it's going to be an easy single. They're looking to push for the second, and they do come back. That's good running. They need more of that. 50 is up. You would expect 50 to come somewhere in the power play, or the 7th over or so. This is the 11th over. So, to that point, Brian, when you pick an 11 and you've got a certain number of batsmen followed by finishers, all-rounders, your bowlers, the role of each player, you're almost playing a numbers game, that everyone in the top 6 or 7 on an average is facing 20-odd deliveries. Somebody goes on to face 35, 40, 50 deliveries. You don't build this like an ODI or a test match. You just assume that everyone is going to go in there and do their job. If your lower order is not firing, you don't start protecting them. You still stay true to the concept of T20 and play your natural game and expect number 5, 6, 7 to come and do the finishing touches for you.
I agree with all of that. And the only thing I'd say in response is that's cut behind point, a good stop at backward point. They run through for a single anyway. What I would say to that is that sometimes 3, 4, 5, 6 have to be able to play dual roles. What I mean by that is, yes, if you're coming in, let's say 4 or 5, you're expecting to come in maybe at over number 14, 15 and accelerate towards the end. At this stage, they also may have to take the role of finishers. If that is launched out of the ground, we have another lost ball situation. That's what I'm talking about. Effectively, this pair now has to start thinking that they're finishers. And they're going to have to accelerate in track terms, run through the tape, because it's now up to them to be able to take the momentum and sort of drag their team toward the finish line.
Yeah, as we see this one tossed up, Mukhtar wasn't going to miss out on that. Picks it up from outside the off, but he has that strong heave towards cow corner. And Brian, the successful T20 franchises, which we are seeing in premier tournaments across the world, pick those 7, 8 batsmen, and with 120 balls, it's almost as if everyone has been given the memo. You go and you keep going and attacking, and 120 balls will still be fine with those 7, 8 batters. Very rarely, 1 in every 15 or 20 games, you'll see that you were over-aggressive and you just lost all your wickets, and then it came to the tail. There's so many examples. The franchises like Chennai Super Kings, who've been so successful, 8 batsmen, and all of them just keep going. They just keep going, and there's no innings building, so to say now. That concept of start slow and take it deep, that's been knocked out of the door. So I kind of understand even the point you were making as they are trying to retrieve this ball. Just that batting deep and all that is it's probably it's a little old school, and you just tend to rely on those 5, 6, 7. Everyone almost plays with the same notion these days.
Well, looking to accelerate, that has to be the name of the game. Even with that 6 that's out of the ground, you're still only scoring at the rate of 5.34 and over. And Ali Sheikh, who is now into his 3rd over, conceded 24 or make that 21 runs already. But looking at the big picture, 5.3 runs and over is where they are right now.
Yeah, and also in hindsight, when you look back and reflect on the innings, for example, we'll now say that Mukhtar is caught up, right? He's on a strike rate of 139 of 39. And he may explode and get 50 ball 80 or so. But the point I'm trying to make is, as this is a little short, he hits it into the gap. They should come back for a second. But it's not there. Rishi Ramesh is quick. The point I'm trying to make is the catching up, these deliveries which have been lost, in the bigger picture, in the context of this innings, they were still runs. Regardless of what you do in the death, just like the Hurricanes did yesterday. Last 4 overs were very good and you got to 166. You could have gone to 190 or 200. We'll come back to this point. It's an interesting debate. After this over, after 11, it's 58 for 1.
Que me regaló una televisión, oré por él en la calle, allí en la calle oré por él y dice que él es.
So, finally, that man has been introduced. We've been speaking about him. We knew Ali Sheikh doesn't really give the ball a good tweak, so weren't expecting a lot of turn, but Nosh Kenjige would be looking to put those revs on the ball as he comes to Mukhtar. Starts with a nice and tight line and length that's defended. It's that same word again, the dead bat that's often presented. And Nosh is going to continue. Driven down the ground, they'll get across for a single. So Mukhtar has picked up the pace. He's made up to lost deliveries. But again, I'll say this. The sixes that were hit at that part in the innings. The deliveries lost before that. It's not an individual game, so 41 or 41 doesn't matter to me. I'm looking at the dot balls that have been played in that innings. Josh now gets across for a single.
That is an interesting point. And to that point, so far in this innings, we're into the 12th over. There have been 39 dot balls. So 56%, 57% of all of the balls in this innings have been dot balls. So even if you make up, and even if one batter goes crazy at this point, you've already left, as this is down the leg side. These may be wides. We'll see what's signaled here. It goes all the way to the boundary.
Seem to have hit the thigh or so. In fact, it's been signaled off the bat, interestingly. Might have gloved it.
Given us runs. But yes, that is an astounding number of dot balls. Imagine if you scored a single off of half of those. You have another 20 runs on the board. So it's essentially ineffective batting by Houston, and further epitomizes the fact that they have sort of underperformed, not just this weekend, but the entire season.
Yeah, and again, we talk about, I'll add to what you said, Brian. We often talk about this catching up, right? And those boundaries and those sixes are hit at that time and place in the innings. And that was the time and place for those sixes. If you look at those as individual events, this is heaved across the line for a single. So that catching up oftentimes is an irrelevant figure of speech as far as I'm concerned, because you're not really catching up. The balls that are lost, they're lost. You hit those sixes and fours at one stage in the innings, but what's behind you is behind you. Exactly. You're not going back in time and making up for those. So it's often spoken about, but it's an interesting debate to me as that over comes to an end. Nosh's first over goes for 7. After 12, it's 65 for 1.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Entonces, mire cómo el Señor nos ha guardado hasta ahorita. Hasta ahorita el Señor nos ha guardado.
Double left-handed or left arm spin attack. Ali Sheikh taking the ball coming in from the theater end. Huge swipe across the line and he knocked him over. Ali Sheikh, again, doesn't turn it necessarily, but his arm ball is used to deadly effect. And the first delivery in over number 13 results in a wicket. Mukhtar Ahmed bowled by Ali Sheikh, 4 runs short of his 100, of his 50, apologies.
Yeah, he's the kind of batter who faced those 46 deliveries. He would more often than not want to be 4 shy of 100. But we look at that delivery. We've talked about the kind of grip Ali is getting. Not a lot. It was angled slightly towards the leg side. Might have been flicking the leg stump. But it didn't straighten as much as Mukhtar would have thought. Just early into the shot, Brian?
Early into the shot is part of it. The other part of it is that that ball probably should have been played to mid-wicket. He was looking to play that so square. So essentially he's hitting completely across a straight ball. And the physics doesn't work for you if you're hitting across a straight ball. The best baseball players in the world, the best baseball hitters hit 400, which means 6 out of every 10 they're coming up unsuccessful. So I think that's the same principle that applies here. If you hit across a straight ball, more often than not, you're going to miss it. And that was pretty much, once again, going across that straight ball and finding nothing but air, and then the ball finding the top of leg stump. So a bit of a, you'll take the 46 runs. You don't want to give that back. But at the same time, 46 runs after having eaten up a fair amount of dot balls early in the innings means that there's a lot of dot balls that you did not get the opportunity to score off of. And it now means that Saif Badar, who's coming in, batted well so far in the tournament, did well last night, but it feels like he's going to have to be able to play himself in pretty quickly here, because you only have another 47 balls remaining in this innings and you're not yet at 70 runs. So 65 for 2, Ali Sheikh into Saif Badar. Reaching well forward, defending this one for no run.
Yeah, and also kind of overemphasizes that theory of relativity that we spoke about, the catching up.
Yes.
It's almost a foregone conclusion as far as I'm concerned, because maybe Mukhtar would have exploded and just gone berserk, but those deliveries in the past are deliveries in the past, and Saif needs to keep an eye on that fact as well, as he has come in. There's no catching up, really. The time you're out there in the middle, the deliveries you're facing is invaluable in the context of what innings you're playing. So
it's the old saying that you can actually score 12 runs and over a number of different ways. You can hit 6 dot dot 6 dot dot, or you can go 2 2 2 2 2, and too much of the block 6 approach by Houston, and so when you do that, you eat up a lot of dot balls and you end up getting to the position where you don't exactly see.
Yeah, and this is driven down the ground by Joshua Tromp. I think the message may have come through Saif for just Josh to start going for it. 46 deliveries, in fact 44 deliveries in this innings remain. They should be looking at something in the range of 80 with 8 wickets in hand.
Do they get 2 here? You hear 2 the call, but look at that athletic ability. That is brilliant athletic ability by the keeper himself, Prathamesh Pawar, who sprints 30 yards from behind the stumps to go to square leg to make sure that only 1 run is scored. So that's good work. That's the way to keep the pressure on the batting side. And that means that Joshua Tromp is now on strike, 9 from 24, and you have to think that the pressure is building on Josh Tromp. Look here at Prathamesh Pawar. Look at him sprint, him alongside Ali Sheikh. And when you can outrun Ali Sheikh, you know you're doing some sprinting. Last ball of the over. Josh Tromp lofting it in the deep. And look at that catch. Did he take it over the ropes, though? Wait to see what happens here with the signal from the fielder himself. I believe that's Hamad Azam out there. And waiting to see. No result yet, no signal yet.
So it seems it's been just a single.
A single, interestingly. So good piece of work catching it, flipping it back in, but very casual. And no real sign from the fielder and no signal from the umpire. So it's not out and it's not 6. So maybe it ends up just being a single to close things out here in over number 13. So we'll keep it at 1 unless told otherwise. 13 bowled, 42 left in terms of balls, 69 for 2.
Maldito el que se acostare con la mujer de su padre por cuanto descubrió el regazo de su padre y dirá todo el pueblo amén. Maldito el que se ayuntare con cualquier bestia y dirá todo el pueblo amén. Maldito el que
double spin continuing. This is going to be Nush Kenjige. 1 over bowled, none for 7. Off the back foot, Corey Anderson, a short extra cover, doing what he needs to do to continue applying that pressure.
Yeah, and this is also quite a learning curve for Josh, because you come across these situations. It's not going to be making merry every day when you come out to bat. Yeah, there would be days when you'll find going gets tough and you have to dig deep and find something to get some impetus and momentum. It's not going to be easy. He's facing Nosh Kenjige, arguably the best spinner in the country in the past several years.
No question. And then Saif Badar, 2 from 3. Hasn't been there nearly as long as Josh Trump, but one of these two is going to have to go in sometime soon. And maybe the memo has been received by Saif Badar, skipping down the track and meeting that 1.5 volley. You don't see very many times that a bowler or batter is able to skip down the track to Nosh Kenjige. Saif Badar does it well here, strikes him down the ground for 4.
Yeah, and you would see he was so confident in the way he stepped out.
Signal is 6, and my apologies. Yeah, they did it, change that to a 6.
Yeah, very quickly he stepped down and was to the pitch of the delivery. Nosh didn't see him coming because he waited till the release of the delivery to come down. And this one, again, we said so. The 6 and the dot ball. Good idea from Saif. He was at least looking to work it in the gap. Just didn't middle the ball. It hit his pads and results in a dot ball.
Interesting, though, because both of those last 2 deliveries, he essentially looked like he was batting in a test match. So back to block 6 that we're talking about. And there have to be other ways of finding the ability to maneuver the strike like that and get singles. If you're not going to be doing that, then essentially you're putting yourself in a position where you're being tied down, again, eating up a lot of dot balls. That's the end of over number 14. The score is 7-7 for 2.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
So 15th over in this innings is about to resume. 36 deliveries to go. Usually by this time in the innings, you at the very least want to be in triple digits as far as your innings are concerned. Houston are at 77 for 2.
2 runs off of every ball from here gets Houston to 149. Far in arrears of where they would need to be from a competitive score standpoint. And again, the bowlers at this stage of the innings, you would expect are continuing to tighten the noose. Hamad Azam switching around now, bowling from the theater end. And he's going to be bowling to Saif Badar, but my goodness, his 2 overs so far, Hamad Azam, 3 overs, none for 10. So he's bowled really well economically. And the spinners at the other end, Nosh Kenjige really bowled well himself.
And Ali Sheikh, even though he's gone for a few runs, has already taken a wicket. So a lot of making up for Houston to do here.
Yeah, and I would be surprised if a six bowler is introduced in this attack. It doesn't look like they're going to the third spinner. Adnan Haroon or Sujit Gora aren't coming on. Ali Sheikh bowled out in his spell, and Nosh has got 2 to go as this is back of length and takes the outside edge. That is a huge wicket if you are the Houston Hurricanes. So much was dependent and reliant on Saif Badr. He's the one who can really explode. But Hamad Azam, what a change there by Corey Anderson.
Oh my goodness. Everything that the Dallas Mustangs are doing today is turning up gold. And Hamad Azam getting that delivery on the off-stump line and the perfect length to where it cramped Saif Badr for room. Look at this. The length, I think, is what does the trick here. Just that perfect length where if you try an aggressive shot, it's really caught on the crease, and the ball was probably a little too full to play that shot that he just played, and just kissing the outside edge and going through for yet another wicket. So my goodness, 3 wickets make that. Yeah, 3 wickets are down now. 77 runs only on the board, and I'll tell you what, this is going to be.
Looks like it's Matthew Tromp who's walking out. Or it's rather Hamza Bangash.
Hamza Bangash. Hamza Bangash. And he has to be coming in with one thing on his mind only. Swing the bat and get some runs. At this stage, again, if you're Houston, you've underperformed for much of the season. It's essentially time to stand up and show what you're made of. And even though you're only looking at this stage to have you're only facing another 35 balls, it really is just about looking in the mirror and saying, I'm not going to be reckless, but I'm going to be aggressive, and I need to do something to show that I belong on this field. In this fantastic facility, it is going to be up to me to show that this is somewhere I can make my mark. You know, forget about the standings, forget about how well we've played all season. What can I do right now to make sure that I'm able to make my mark on this team and on this game?
Yeah, and there's no point reeling to a score of 120, 125. If you are the Hurricanes and you're out there in the middle or you're yet to come in the dugout, Hamza is going to get off the mark. Could be tied if there's a direct hit. He might have been gone. I think he was struggling. He was late to get off the blocks. Joshua pushed him for a single, and it did look like a direct hit might have found him short by a good 6 to 10 inches.
How about the athletic ability of Hamad Azam? Very tall but athletic, and he's gone. He's absolutely gone. If that hits, your 6 to 10 inch estimate is probably exactly accurate. I have no idea how you saw that live. But, yeah, that tremendous work by the fast bowler himself in his follow-through, and that does nothing but continue to add to the pressure.
Hamad is going to continue to Josh, and Josh does what he's been doing all season. Is that the impetus he needed to break the shackles and get going? Yeah, that's his first boundary. He's really struggled today. And on that time, very positive intent. He literally stepped down even before the ball was released. You'll see there, he's always looking to get down the pitch. There, that little shuffle.
Wow.
And he makes that back of length delivery into almost a half volley. That's Josh's strength. He's played that shot over and over again this season.
Intent is the key there. It's just a matter of mindset. And again, you're not looking to be reckless, but what you're looking to do is say, I have a bat in my hand and I have the ability to score runs. So am I going to choose to stick around and poke it in the driveway, poke it in the gaps, or am I going to say, you know what, there's only 33 balls remaining in this innings. It is time for me to shift through the gears and get up to top gear. So Josh Tromp still has some making up to do. 17 from 28 is what he has. Houston with 84 runs on the board is, again, just a brief delay because we're having to wait for these balls to be replaced. We've had now probably 5 balls knocked out of the stadium. Here we see on the replay Hamad Azam again. And look at Joshua Trump advancing down the wicket. Has to be said it was dead straight. And had that missed and been hit on the pads, The umpire might have had a decision to make. But here we go again to live action. Going in the same direction on the ground this time. A lot of work for Ali Sheikh. And he gets there, coming back for the second run. Intent now being shown by Joshua Trump. And Hamza Bangash with only one ball faced so far. He's off the mark with that one. But the Houston Hurricanes have to be in the position now where they're at least looking to accelerate. And they've absorbed a lot of dot balls. We said that earlier, and so you're not going to get those back. But with the remaining 32 balls, you have to find a way to get some runs on the board. So Hamad Azam again. Oh, that's an interesting shot by Joshua Trump. I think he was looking to go big initially and then changing his mind at the last second and defending it into the offside for a single. So that's good awareness. 10 runs from the over so far. One ball remaining. So they need many more overs like this. And again, with only 31 balls remaining and 87 runs on the board, 10 and over from here gets you to 139. You would think at minimum that's what they'd be looking at. Last delivery of the over, looking to go big again. This is Hamad Azam, this time, my apologies, Hamza Bangash this time, missing out on the attempted hoik over mid-wicket. So a dot ball to close things out in over number 15. Scores 87 for 3.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस, इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Mira, era el dolor insoportable, así tuve que clamar y le dije no voy a tomar ningún medicamento porque creo en tu poder. ¿Sabes qué, hermano, hermana? A mí
Central Division matchup here in the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship 2023. Lakshmi, official partner of Minor League. Brew, MLC's Cricket for the Community partner. This is slashed in the air, caught at backward point. Never in a million years is that going to be dropped. The most straightforward catch by the safest pair of hands on the field, Ali Sheikh. And so that is another wicket that goes down. And unfortunately for the Houston Hurricanes, Joshua Trump is having to walk off, having been dismissed. 20 from 31, and yet another wicket. And Munir, the wheels are falling off again for the Houston Hurricanes.
Yeah, and Brian, again, we see that same thing. 20 of 30 deliveries. And as far as Josh is concerned, even if he would have carried on, there's still no catching up to do on those deliveries which are lost. So if they look at their scorecard, in hindsight, Mukhtar and Josh within themselves have faced 3/4 of this innings, about 80 deliveries between those two.
Wow.
And the returns you've got is about 60 runs. So that's rather sad, simply to put, in the context of a T20 game, and you're leaving just too much for the people who are coming after you, the batters who have to come and close this innings. These two, mind you, did very well in the last 5 overs of their innings yesterday. So if they can repeat that performance, I think that's going to be a tall ask. But in spite of them repeating that similar performance, they would still find themselves at least 25 to 30 runs short of what may have been a par score.
I would agree with you completely. So Matthew Trump coming in now to replace his brother Joshua. Matthew Trump, 50 runs on the season, 37 of them last night, to the point that you just made, Munir. So he had a good partnership in the back end, or toward the back end of the innings last night. And to the extent that we need to be able to see this is going to be Nash Kenjiga continuing. And another dot ball, the first ball to Matthew Trump. Works this one into the leg side. They should just get one. That's Sujit Gowda coming in off the boundary. Look at that. A direct hit there. Might have asked a question or two, but getting home safely is Hamza Bangash. So you're taking chances at this stage. Houston, you really do have to do something to force force the action. Ball worked into the leg side, and that was a good pickup and throw by Sajith Gowda. Umpire Partha Patanaik getting out of the way, and my goodness, had that been a direct hit, he was nowhere in the frame, Hamza Bangash. Followed up by a dot ball here, so just 2 balls remaining. 2 runs in the over so far, and over number 16. This is really good bowling. Looking to use his feet. Not quite getting to the pitch, and that's just knocked into the outfield for a single. So 3 runs from the 16th over with 1 ball remaining. The last 5 overs, including this one, have gone for 32 runs. So you've accelerated slightly, but not by a whole lot. And only 90 runs on the board with 1 ball remaining in over number 16. Launched down the ground, but catchable. And taken at head height. Another wicket falls. Matthew Trump not able to, in fact, that is Hamza Bangash, who was dismissed, not able to relive the glory of the first match that he played this season, where he scored some 35 runs, I believe, if I remember correctly. Holds out in the deep, straight down the throat of long off. Dismissed here, Hamza Bangash 1 off 3, and Houston loses another wicket there, 90 for 5.
Yeah, life's treating you well if you're a Dallas Mustang, bowling your premier spinner in what literally are the death overs of the innings and picking up a brace, a couple of wickets, just conceding very few runs. And as far as the Hurricanes are concerned, nothing's fair in this life. Things they're finding, you're going so tough.
Yeah.
You're losing games due to Duckworth Lewis and tied results going against your way in the super overs. And then you come on a pleasant Sunday morning
or Saturday
morning and find that everything is so difficult in the middle. The ball is not coming on the bat. You're just looking to explode, and you keep trying, but it's just not happening for you. And every batsman that's come out so far, they've tried to break the shackles. I've seen efforts of trying to just launch balls, but I think the success rate has been probably around 20% or so. 1 of 5 deliveries are being connected or middle. Everything else has been so difficult. And also keep in mind, Brian, that I was coming to the bowling attack that Nosh is going to bowl out towards the end. But besides that, Hamad Azam has bowled out. So Ehsan Adil and Ruman Rais would be tentatively the ones finishing this innings, as this is driven, but it's likely going to be a single. Rishi Ramesh is quick out of the block. So now with Ruman Rais and Ehsan Adil bowling, it's going to be so difficult to get them away, especially for batsmen who are just walking out of the dugout. You're walking out of a dugout, that's grim. There's dead silence. You can hear a pin drop in that dugout right now.
Yep.
And then to come out and pull something extraordinary and hit the likes of Ruman Rais and Ehsan Adil, that's a mountain of a task. As we see skipper Usman Rafiq does well to get off the mark and turns the strike over to Matthew Tromp. I expect more of that kind of a line and length, just back of length. Very hard to get away.
Well, Ramon Ariz, when he bowls early in the innings, opens the bowling. He's bowling number 2 today. So he bowls slightly fuller length because he's looking to swing that ball. And you get the ball to swing more when you bowl a fuller length. But here, I agree with you. Who's going to be bowling short of length and forcing the batters to play him off the back foot. That length right there is the difficult length to bowl.
Yeah, and the problem with that length is you cannot come down the track. If you come down the track and try and bring out the golf swing, which the Tromp brothers are known for, the ball is going to hit you high on the bat. It's going to go up straight up in the air. It's not going to travel the distance. If you stay back in the crease, you try and go deep and play the cross-batted shot, the ball is going to rush onto you. So it's that difficult length. This one is slightly fuller. He doesn't want to be there, but luckily for him, that thickish edge doesn't go fine enough for them to find a boundary. They still get a couple of runs in the process.
We'll take those couple of runs. Looks like Hamad Azam out there on the boundary, a deep third. Who comes across. Good diving effort to stop that one from going to the boundary. Doesn't make a big difference in the context of things because you're still far behind in terms of the number of runs if you're Houston. But what that does is psychologically puts the frustration in the batters. Like, oh my goodness, that ball that could have gone for 4, they're still shutting me down, and that continues to build the pressure.
And this one is slightly fuller, and mid-off was inside the circle. We talked about that line of attack and the length of attack more importantly. If you err and you bowl it even slightly foolish, I talked about that down-the-ground shot. You enable that shot. And the fact that mid-off was inside the circle was the indication that Roman Reis is not trying to bowl it full. So that was an error ball.
I would agree with you, and in fact, it's error in line as well as in length. You cannot bowl outside, off, and full if mid-off is inside the circle. So yeah, Roman Reis, you would think, is going to be pulling his length back and maybe bowling a slightly straighter line here.
Yeah, and here he comes again. And it's again that kind of delivery we spoke about, that you try and manufacture a cross-batted shot, it's going to rush onto you. Those are not easy. So he made a mistake on the last ball, but the pro he is, makes the correction and gets it spot on.
That is a great ball by Roman Reis, fixing both the line and the length, a lot straighter and a lot shorter. Slightly cross-batted shot being employed by Matthew Trump, and only succeeding in spooning the easiest of catches to mid-off. So that's wicket number 6, 98 for 6 with 16 balls remaining, or 16 overs, make that 17 overs bowled. Last 18 balls coming up, 98 for 6.
So it looks like the new batsman who's walked out in the middle is Sakleen Heather. He wasn't in the squad for several games and then came back in to the playing 11 yesterday. Now, Brian, we've also talked about horses for courses, and Hurricanes have just tried to play that conservative, safe brand of cricket. You will see a lot of other teams, they don't back off, or they're not hesitant in making changes to how they play. Hurricanes seem to just go with a template. There came Ali Sheikh, bowled 4 overs, went under the radar, and quietly he was done. Nosh has bowled 3 overs. Where was the left-hander all this time? And they've just stuck to that same recipe. They've been bowling the same kind of stuff, and Nosh is gonna probably feast on a team which is so behind in their thinking. That headspace is what's been their downfall, as we see on that occasion. Usman Rafiq, he's just looking to work it for a single, just caught on the crease, and Nosh has his tail up. He's just going to eat up. He's going to feast on this batting lineup, I can tell you that.
Goodness, just working this too square, coming down, and then look how square he's working this. He's working that to square leg once again, just going right across a straight delivery. And boy, the captain is going to be disappointed with that shot. But it further epitomizes or is emblematic of what this entire season has looked like for the Hurricanes. 98 for 7, and they're actually in danger of being bowled out inside of 20 overs, if you can believe it. Don't yet have 100 runs on the board and only 3 wickets remaining.
Yeah, and he made a total meal out of it. Did Usman Rafiq found himself in a very odd pose as he was trying to play the ball, riding a horse was he on that occasion. As you would see, he was trying to step up to the offside, open access to the leg side and heave it. Yeah. But as the ball came in, I think he was expecting the ball to turn. And the fact that it came on with the arm, he found himself in a very bad position to work it to the leg side. Again, those preconceived notions, the premeditated attempts you try and make. But at least the good thing here is that 2 left-handers would be facing Nosh, Karthik Gadapalli and Sakleen Heather.
Boy, when you scripted the innings, if you were Captain Usman Rafiq, I don't know that you expected to have this pair batting together with fewer than 100 runs on the board. Short, played into the offside, should just be 1. Yep, that's just 1. So, needless to say, when you go back to the drawing board, and you look at the opportunities that you've left a begging. And once again, don't want to necessarily belabor the point, but 55 dot balls already in the innings. 53% of all of the balls that have been bowled in this match have been dots. So you're not giving yourself an opportunity to win very many cricket matches when you bowl like that, or when you bat like that.
Yeah, and you said, Brian, that this pair batting at this stage in this in the innings shouldn't be part of the script. I've been rather trying to emphasize that there should be no script. And
well, you said that for a while, exactly.
We talked about that game against the Michigan Cricket Stars when a flurry of left-arm spinners came at them, and Saqlain Haider does what he's known for. The sweep shot comes out. Rather refreshing. We haven't seen any of that, so a different approach. As the 100 comes up, 100 for 7 and 106 deliveries.
Wow.
So we talked about that Michigan Cricket Stars game when an artillery of left-arm spinners was unleashed at them, and they all tried going over the top and perished. Saqlain Haider, the only recognized left-hander batsman, as this is a magic ball from Norsh Kenjige, beats him outside the off. Saqlain was on the bench in that game. They failed to read the, so to say, double quotes, air quotes script, and didn't bring him in. And I would have liked to see Karthik just thrown in the middle somewhere in that game, and they didn't do it. He's no muck with the bat, as you can see on that occasion. That goes the distance. They've regarded him as a tail-ender, and they haven't thrown him in the mix. But having a left-hander is so valuable. As you see that ball behind that section 118, ground staff, one of them does the retrieving. So
David Agnew, who does the retrieving, the head groundsman here at Grand Prairie. So is it too little too late? You'll accept the 6, though, if you get that from your number 9 batter or your number 8 batter, rather, Saqlain Haider. 2 overs remaining. The score is 106 for 7.
Vamos a entrar al consejo de la palabra de nuestro Dios, traído, ¿verdad?, por el pastor Mario Esquivel. Pero una vez más te hacemos la invitación, ¿verdad? Si no tienes un lugar donde congregarte, amén. Si te has dejado de congregar, mira, si te hirieron, te lastimaron. Oh, yo meditaba en estos días, ¿verdad?, por todo lo que hemos pasado.
So, just 12 deliveries left in this innings, and this remains to be seen what kind of runs they can gather. Anything 20, it's all like a foregone conclusion now. You're always going to be below par unless at least 6 of these last 12 deliveries go for boundaries. 6s rather. Then you probably push towards the 150. Will be a tall ask.
It's a tall ask. 18 per over from here gets you to 142. So you're still well behind. But Roman Ruiz, he's not the kind of bowler who you can attack. At the same time, Saqlain Haider can play shots 360 degrees. He can play the scoop. He can play the reverse sweep. So he'll not be easy to bowl at. That's down the leg side. There's a signal from umpire Samir Bandekar, whose name we haven't called much today. But if you're looking to manufacture runs, Saqlain Haider is not a bad person to have at the wicket. At the same time, you've dug yourself into such a deep hole and only 3 wickets to play with that the priority may need to be batting through the rest of the innings, because you lose a wicket here, then you're absolutely into the tail. There is a scoop shot being attempted. I mentioned how much of an unorthodox batter he can be, but didn't get the scoop away. Not a bad option. Deep third is very wide, and then there's no one at deep fine leg. So there's certainly the opportunity to score runs behind the batter. But the question to be asked is, do you have the opportunity to leverage those scoring areas? And in fact, now you see a change in the field as there's a deep fine leg who's now going into place. That's Adnan Haroon and Hamad Azam coming in off the boundary at deep backward square leg inside the circle. So that means that they're aware of the potential scoop shots that can be played here by Saqlain Haider. Big drive essayed outside the half stump, no run.
Yeah, and the thing about Saklan batting at this stage of the innings is you can be rest assured that he would look to be cheeky. He would look to deflect the balls, use the angles in the field. Not the kind of batter you would count on to just bring out the long handle and go downtown, hit those towering sixes. So if you're Ruman Rais, you can afford to be rather full, look to hit the Yorker length, and even if you err, he's still looking to deflect you. He's not there. You see it again. He knows what Saklan is going to attempt, so he's going for that very foolish length.
Goodness. That length, you're exactly right in pointing that out, because as you see in this replay, look at Saklan Haider, almost trapped on the crease and then kind of falling over after the ball goes by, losing his shape just a little bit. And that delivery from Roman Rais, leaving the left-hander, so he's gone past the outside edge 3 times already in this over. Once via the attempted scoop and then 2 off drives that were missed. So you're eating up more balls here. Saklan Haider lofting this one. Catchable, no. Out of reach by Sujith Gowda. Can't get to it. Pulling it back inside the ropes. They'll get a couple. But they needed much more of this several deliveries ago. 2 balls remaining here in over number 19. 8 remaining in the innings. And only 109 runs on the board.
Yeah, and those last couple of deliveries, the dot ball that beat the outside edge, and this one, they were almost gentle half volleys. But with Saklan Haider, you kind of know that he's not going to go hell for leather down the ground. He's not looking for those deliveries, and that's not really his strength. He's still going to look to play it square off the wicket, but he's not giving him that kind of a delivery that he could get under and deflect. So Roman knows.
A great Yorker. Absolutely bang on target. That's what you're looking for. Coming back for the second, though. That's good work. Ali Sheikh, one of the, again, for me, the best fielder in the country. I might be slightly biased because I've seen him come up through the ranks as a youth player, but he's not somebody who you can ordinarily run on. But the ball was hit in such a way, not very hard. By the time Ali Sheikh got to it, it was the opportunity for 2 presented itself. So a couple more runs. 1 remaining in the over. 5 from this over so far, including a wide. Trying that scoop, that sweep. Misses out. Yet another dot ball. 4 of the balls in this over have been dot balls. And that is how you build pressure, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of 19. 1 more to go. 1-1-1 for 7.
What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
El Señor nos habla aquí en Mateo 13, gloria a Dios, ¿verdad? La palabra, como dijimos en un momento, se lee en nombre del Padre, el Hijo y su bendito Espíritu Santo.
The last over of the innings will be bowled by the bowler who bowled the first over of the innings, the tall, former Pakistani test bowler Ehsan Adil, and he will be bowling to Kartik Gatapale. 111 on the board, just nothing near the number of runs that are needed if you're the Houston Hurricanes. Gatapale 7 from 4 with a 6, so he's tried his best here at the back end of the innings. Saklan Haider 5 from 7, but all the big guns are already back in the pavilion. But you do have 6 opportunities to score runs here if you're the Houston Hurricanes. Here's the first ball from Ehsan Adil. Gatapale skies it. More height than distance, but it turns out, look at that catch. Did he take that? Oh, what an absolutely brilliant catch on the boundary. Who is that fielder? No, he signals 6. It went all the way for 6. He did catch it, it appeared. But at the same time, it looks like he stepped over the ropes at deep mid-wicket. Walk us through this, Munir.
Yeah, and as we see that length again, it enabled the cross-batted shot. So Ehsan Adil probably dropped it a little short than what he would have wanted to. If it was even 6 inches full, that shot would have rather just skied up in the air. But that extra length gave him the option to really get under the ball. What I've been saying, Brian, that from the look of Gatapale, we've seen he's decent with the bat, but as far as the Hurricanes are concerned, we never saw him.
Look at this down the ground now. That's a legitimate strike for 6 more. I'll tell you what, These are important runs that are coming at the back end of the innings here. The first one, touch and go, and eventually going for 6. Nush Kenjiga carrying it over the ropes with him, but this is a legitimate strike down the ground. 6 off the big Pakistani fast bowler.
Yeah, overcompensates for that short pitch delivery, this time going slightly fuller. Not really a half volley, but decent enough for Karthik to get that big swing of the bat, get under the ball and get the range. Surprises me that he hasn't been counted upon or just thrown in the mix. Like we said, that they've just been too reluctant on experimenting and thinking out of the box. Where was Karthik when all those spinners were choking the Hurricanes' batting lineup, the right-handers?
Yorker length. Don't think they'll try to get 2 here, even though Sakleen Hader was keen, but he would have been running to the danger end. So I think the right decision made there. So 13 coming from the over so far. My goodness. The last 3 balls of the over, last 3 balls of the innings coming up. 124 runs on the board. How much can they get out of these last 3? Can they get to 140? Is that possible?
I bet the discussion there was that if Sakleen, you fail to make contact and it goes through the keeper,
I'm running. So, Gatepale, I think the idea here, you're absolutely right. Whatever happens, whether these be runs or buys, somebody is going to be turning over in the scorebook. There it is. Underhanded throw. Just missed. I'll tell you what, you called that one exactly right, Munir, because Karthik Gatepale was always going to be coming through for that buy. Underhanded throw by Prathamesh Pawar, missing the stumps at the keeper's end, but they run through for a buy. So you know that that was always on. And I think you'd see the same type of arrangement being made here, because with 2 balls remaining, you absolutely have to score off of every ball. 125 runs aren't nearly enough, but you have to do whatever you can to maximize any scoring opportunities.
Yeah, and the way Karthik is pinging it, he might fancy himself to face the last couple of deliveries, no matter what happens on this one. Sakleen Hader, I think he's been shuffled, was on the bench, so it's not coming off for him. But Karthik again,
swing, not really making contact. And that is again an opportunity missed. That ball stays a little low. They wanted to attempt to steal a bye, but then change their minds as that ball goes by outside the off stump. So 1 ball remaining here in over number 20. And I'll tell you, this is not going to be, it's not going to make for good reading when you go back and analyze this innings if you're the Houston Hurricanes brass. And just last ball remaining. Now, here you're going to be running for everything. If there's a 1, you're going to be looking for 2. But oh my goodness, it's, I'm afraid, too little too late, as Ehsan Adil coming into bowl the last delivery of the innings. Clipped down the leg side. I believe these will be leg buys, or this will be a leg buy. And in fact, no, it's giving us runs. So 1 run after all of that. 15 from the over. They needed several more overs that went for 15 runs. Houston Hurricanes sputter through the finish line at 126 for 7.
Yeah, and that was a gem of a delivery. The previous one, the 5th ball of the over that went for a dot, I thought that was a proper half volley, which Karthik would feel he missed out. But then Ehsan Adil came up with one of the best Yorkers in this innings, right on the shoelaces. Luckily for Karthik, the bat came down in time, and it was just a single. So if you see that innings, there was never really anyone who got going in that top 6 to 7 players. You'll see scores of 46-20, and then a phone number outside of that, 191-1015-21. But I think for me, the most important innings in the Houston Hurricanes batting card is the one from Karthik Gatepale.
21 from 9.
Mustar Ahmed and Joshua Trump, they were at the crease for some time, but they never really got going. And in fact, in the process, what they did was just pile the pressure on the batsmen who were to come after them. Not a lot of extras, just 12. So Mustangs have been pretty good in terms of their bowling attack, kept it down to a total which they would fancy themselves to chase. And Brian, take us through this bowling card.
Well, the bowling dominated it there at the bottom of your screen. Nosh Kenjige, 4 overs, 3 for 26. You refer to him as the best spinner in the country. I'd have a hard time disagreeing with you. Pace bowlers did well. Roman Reis, the pick of the pace bowlers, 4 overs, 1 for 19, and 1 wicket each for Essa Nadil, Hamad Azam, and of course Ali Sheikh. So good bowling overall by the Mustangs, and conversely, pretty ordinary batting by the Houston Hurricanes means that the Hurricanes will be looking to defend a well below par score of 127. So we should be back in about 15 minutes for the chase. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break here in Grand Prairie. See you shortly.
Adil continues, and again, it's that kind of uncomfortable length. It looked pretty high. Fahad Babar was crouching.
It's a free hit.
Look at that. I hope the cop cars which were hovering in the parking lot have cleared up. We don't want any tickets issued to Mukhtar Ahmed. They went straight in that parking lot.
Over number 5. Full, sliced away deep third, and over the top for 6. That's Adnan.
Power play. It's Ali Sheikh who has come in as that takes the shoulder of the batter, or rather the outside edge, and just runs off. Adnan Haroon couldn't stop it. So
location is control, makes it hard. But speaking of attack, this is launched. Okay, if the first 6 that went in that direction.
Good effort this has been. Now he moves on to 29 of 31. But still, that last 6 I said, he was looking to go rather straight and took the inside half of the
stage. They also may have to take the role of finishers. As that is launched out of the ground. We have another lost ball situation. Crazy at this point. You've already left as this is down the leg side. These may be wides. We'll see what's signaled here. It goes all the way to the boundary.
Seem to have more often than not want to be 4 shy of 100. But we look at that delivery we've talked about.
Last ball of the over. Josh Trump lofting it in the deep. And look at that catch. Did he take it over the ropes, though? Wait to see what happens here with the 6. One of these two is going to have to go in sometime soon. And maybe the memo has been received by Saif Badar, skipping down the track
in his spell, and Nosh has got 2 to go as this is back off length and takes the outside end.
Brew MLC's cricket for the community partner. This is slashed in the air, caught at backward point. Never in a million years is that going to be dropped. The most straightforward. Launched down the ground but catchable, and taken at head height, continues to build the pressure.
And this one is slightly fuller, and mid-off was inside the circle. We talked about that line of attack.
You would think is going to be pulling his length back and maybe bowling a slightly straighter line here.
Yeah, and here he comes again. And it's again that kind of delivery we spoke about that and I would have liked to see Karthik just thrown in the middle somewhere in that game, and they didn't do it. He's no muck with the bat, as you can see.
Easy to bowl at. That's down the leg side. There's the signal from umpire Samir Bandekar, whose name we haven't called much today. Sanadil. Gatipali skies it. More height than distance, but it turns out, look at that catch. Did he take that? Oh, what an absolutely brilliant catch on the ball.
As far as the Hurricanes are concerned, we never saw him.
Look at this down the ground. Now, that's a legitimate strike for 6 more. I'll tell you what.
You're watching the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship, brought to you by our 2023 partners.
Welcome back to the Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium. The Dallas Mustangs will be coming in chasing what we believe is an undercooked total, looking to chase down 127, needing only to go about at the rate of a run a ball. Openers for the Dallas Mustangs are Norman Anwar, and because of the injury to Andreas House that we spoke about earlier, he's not playing today, so Norman Anwar's opening batting partner is the young U19 captain of the USA cricket team, Rishi Ramesh. Rishi Ramesh from right here in the Dallas area. And Munir, it should not be a pretty hefty chase, 127. You would think that Dallas would be able to chase this without even getting out of third gear, would you not?
Yeah, and undercooked rather, more of a well-done steak in the contest of Texas. Stick a fork in them, they're done. So is the case of Houston Hurricanes. And as far as Dallas are concerned, Andres Goss has been amongst the runs. He misses out owing to an injury, a finger injury, which you told me about, Brian. But Noman Anwar also has been firing all cylinders. And Rishi Ramesh, the youngster, led the under-19 team to that World Cup berth next year in Sri Lanka. So he opens the batting. Haven't seen a lot of Rishi Ramesh, but from what I've heard, he's a promising young batsman, quite a stroke maker. And the challenge of Mohammad Asif. We saw glimpses of what Asif is capable of, getting that ball in that right spot and getting it to nag away and into the right-handers. So it's going to be an interesting battle. And as far as the Hurricanes are concerned, the recipe is wickets, and wickets, bucket loads of them, not just one.
You have to take wickets. And in order to take wickets, you have to build pressure. And you build pressure by not bowling extras. So you remember from last night when the Houston Hurricanes were bowling, they sprayed the ball all over the place, and there were a ton of extras. At some point yesterday, I think they ended up with 28 extras, most of those wides, and you need nothing at all along those lines. You need to be bang on target every single ball, and it's going to be, I think, the case that you see a batter or a bowler like Mohammad Asif who can land the ball in the right places. He's obviously been one of the better bowlers in the world during his time playing for Pakistan. A little older now, but still has those same skill sets. But he's going to have to lead from the front, and then the backup bowlers are going to have to do their part to do what they can to build pressure. Building pressure is the name of the game here. A few loose deliveries and this game can be over in a matter of overs. But if you take a few wickets, then you can be amongst the action. Here is Mohammad Asif. And just as I spoke about that first delivery is fired down the leg side, right on cue, first wide of the innings.
Yeah, and like you rightly pointed out, Brian, discipline has been one of the issues with this bowling lineup. They're definitely missing Usman Shinwari, who has been the pace spearhead. But hey, Mohammad Asif is such a name, the kind of stature it commands. You would expect him to get you that crucial breakthrough with this new ball. And again, it's that wide delivery. Saklan Heather has been made to do a lot of work behind the wickets. And Asif needs to get this right.
The first two deliveries, after that long soliloquy that I just made about how you need to build pressure, the first two deliveries are fired down the leg side. And you're not giving yourself many chances at excellence, or at least, if not excellence, at least having the opportunity to build pressure if you're firing the ball down the leg side. First delivery where ball meets bat, defended into the offside for no run. So you're looking to score here. If you're the Dallas Mustangs, 127 runs. You've been gifted the first two, so you're 2 without loss. You only need to score at the rate of 6.3 runs and over. 6.3 and over is essentially a run a ball. Sprinkle in a few wides, a few no balls. A bad ball that gets put away for 4. This game can be over with very easily if you're not careful, if you're the Houston Hurricanes. Next delivery. That's a good delivery. Much better. On the body. Fending it off of his hips. Naman Anwar. And by the way, Naman Anwar has batted very well at the top of the lineup for the most part. Doesn't have a lot of runs to show for it. Typically in his opening partnerships with Andreas Haus, Andreas is usually the more aggressive of the batters. Looking at the batting card for the year for the Dallas Mustangs, Corey Anderson far and away the top batter in the side with 294 runs. Andreas Haus, number 249 runs. And Naman Anwar down at number 5 with 83 runs. So this is struck through the offside. That may have the legs to get to the boundary. Lovely looking stroke, striking it, running all the way across the carpet for the first boundary of the innings.
Just throwing up that juicy half volley outside the off stump, throwing the bait, and he accepts it. And Noman Anwar, the kind of form he is in, like you mentioned, Brian, he doesn't have a lot of runs. But keep in mind that he was one of the main contributors, or he featured in that Seattle Orcas batting lineup, and he's been in decent form leaning into this minor league. So Noman Anwar, he's a mainstay in this Mustangs batting lineup, and they keep coming at you. There's Corey Anderson, Sujit Gora, Hamad Azam. This one goes away from the batsman. An outswinger. The first few deliveries were shaped back into Noman, so third wide in this over. It's again what we have seen from the Hurricanes over and over, discipline being their Achilles heel.
My goodness. So yes, they definitely do keep coming at you. The number 3 I would imagine would be Sujit Gowda. Corey Anderson probably bats 4. Hamad Azam is an absolute striker of the ball. Then you have Ali Sheikh, Nush Kenjige can wield a bat. I mean, they literally bat down to number 8. Even Adnan Haroon, who is in the side, as this is a quick single to mid-on. Adnan Haroon, who comes in generally at number 9, opens the batting in league cricket. So there's not going to be an easy wicket to be had in this Dallas Mustangs side, maybe until you get down to Ehsan Adil and Roman Raiz. So everyone in the side has the capability of batting. So it runs on the board. You get the sense that if this side needs to, they could chase 60 or 70 more runs than what this target is. So you wouldn't think that they'd be challenged in any way. And so for me, this presents an opportunity for Rishi Ramesh, the young U19 USA captain, to bat through the innings. Stand up. I don't care if you score 40 from 60 balls. The strike rate isn't as important for me, for Rishi Ramesh, as it is for his ability to stay at the wicket. Facing up to Mohamed Asif. That's well played. Just the backward square. And that is backward point. My apologies. That's Josh Trump, a backward point. And 1 ball remaining here in the first innings. First over, rather. You've already given away 3 extras, so this is the third extra ball that's being bowled in this over. And once again, you're looking to build pressure, and you're not going to be doing it with loose deliveries.
And Rishi Ramesh, that ball right in the middle of the bat is going to feel good. Coming into the team, opening the batting, and he does that again. Nice tight delivery from Mohammad Asif. You needed 6 of those.
My goodness, yes.
As far as the Hurricanes are concerned. The first over is out of the way. 8 for no loss are the Dallas Mustangs. We'll be right back.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Again, this is the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship 2023. Right here from the fabulous confines of the Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium. Taking up the attack from the theater end is going to be Hassan Rashid. Bowled very well in combination with Usman Shinwari for much of this year. Now partnering to share the new ball with Mohamed Asif. Short run up, generates a lot of pace just from his shoulders, and he actually generates a fair amount of pace. In the absence of Usman Shinwari, Munir, I would say that he's the quickest bowler in the lineup today for the Hurricanes.
Yeah, him and I think Hamza Bangash can work up some pace, but Hamza relies more on variation. Hassan Rashid's role here is to go all out. And keep in mind, he's very tall, 6'3", 6'4", thereabouts. So he's also known to hit the deck and get steep bounce. The ball can climb to the batsman, as you saw, just a little bit of that. And on top of that, Brian, he also has a good right away swinger to the right-hander. And we've seen him spray it just a little bit, just goes, starts on almost off stump, and the ball swings almost to the wide tram lines. He's been given a slip. Third man is also inside the circle, and he's got a tight-in ring of fielders on the offside, a deepish point. So he needs to make sure that he's attacking that fourth stump line outside the off stump.
Ooh. Huge swipe and a miss. That line is exactly as you mentioned, just on that fourth stump line, and the length was that exact perfect length where Nauman Anwar just finds it out of his driving range. That will keep Deep Point interested. You highlight that fielder at Deep Point. That looks like it's Matthew Trump down at Deep Point. And in fact, the Trump brothers are the only two outside the circle. One is at Deep Point, the other is at Deep Square Leg. It's going to be kind of hard to tell them apart from this far away, but of course, if you don't know, they're twin brothers. Short of length, interesting looking shot. Played much straighter than you'd think that type of delivery would be played, and he cannot get it by Saf Badar at mid-off.
Yeah, exactly what I spoke about. That's been one problem with Hassan Rashid. With that outswing, he tend to start on almost fourth or fifth stump. So when the ball is swinging and being tall, he's hitting the deck. And that swings in the air, it's almost, by that time it reaches the batsman, it's way wide outside the off stump.
Yep.
So what he needs to do is, oftentimes you can just adjust this with the angle of your wrist. He gets tall up, high wrist, high arm action, needs to make sure that the direction where his wrist is coming down is headed into middle stump or so. This is slightly over pitch, and Nauman Anwar is not going to miss out.
Yeah, that ball, I think you'll find that this is on a middle and off sort of a line, and right in the perfect driving length, the right armor over the wicket, slanting it in. In fact, no, it drags this from well outside the line of off stump. So not a lot wrong with the line. The length appeared to provide the opportunity for Nauman Anwar to play a bit of a cross-batted shot. Not the most elegant of cricket shots, but plenty on it to get over the top of Hamza Bangash and mid-on to go away for 4. Now the last ball of the over, played into the offside. Not going to be a run there. So productive over marginally. If this is a boxing match, if you're scoring a boxing match at this point, the first 2 rounds, you would say, go to the Dallas Mustangs. 2 overs bowled, 11 without loss. Make that 12 without loss.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Asif is going to continue. Mohammad Asif, that is. Over number 3 is about to resume. It's been Nauman Anwar who's hogged the strike. Rishi Ramesh has faced just a couple of deliveries, and that problem with Hassan Rashid we spoke about rubbing off now. Even Mohammad Asif going for wide outside the off stump. There should be no doubt that that was a wide outside that marker line by a good 6 to 8 inches.
Oh, definitely. You see it dancing away. It started wide and then swung away wider. Rishi Ramesh looking to throw the kitchen sink at it. You'd think the young man wants to get off of the mark, which is always a priority for any batter at any level of cricket.
And again, he just throws one up. He tried that previously to Nauman Anwar, and he took the bait, and now Rishi Ramesh also takes the bait. The problem is that ball has to have some venom. If you're throwing it up there in the arc and just hoping that the batsman gets dragged and nicks one, not going to happen. It's not that easy. Isn't cricket that easy, right?
Mohammad Asif, very full. Almost looked like there was pace off of that delivery, not the normal quick delivery. And he's not that quick these days at 40 years old. But Rishi Ramesh easily able to get inside of that one and play square of the wicket for 4.
And another one of that delivery, again, just tossing it up in that arc outside the off stump. And you're just hoping that the batsman throws his arms at the ball and nicks one to that first slip or keeper. It's going to be very hard to stop the flow of runs if you're bowling that kind of a line and length, Brian.
Well, it's a very straightforward drop. It is to point at chest height. And you really have to take that catch if you're Houston. Once again, without belaboring the point, this was straight in and should have been taken. You see Rishi Ramesh hammering his bat into his pad, knowing that he maybe went a little too hard. He's gone 3 consecutive times slashing outside off stump. The first one he missed, the second went for 4, the third all means should have been a wicket.
And another one of those. This time he drives it more convincingly, and this might race to the boundary, and the fielder just literally glides the ball past the boundary. You were expecting some kind of a dive to come in. We just kept waiting like anticlimax. It never was there.
A proper off drive, a proper square drive. That's what I want to see more of from Rishi Ramesh. That ball, if the ball is there to be hit, then play any conventional shot that you want. Once again, you're not chasing 300 or 200 runs. You're only chasing 120 odd. At this point, only 104 runs remaining. So I want to see Rishi Ramesh bat through the innings. That's, I think, the number one priority for me the rest of the way here. Down the leg side again. And this is, again, another wide. This is wide number 5 being bowled by Mohammad Asif inside his over and 3 balls. So he's spraying a little bit much more than his captain, Usman Rafiq, would be comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's that kind of a total where if you're a batsman, you just want to get in and comfortably just pace your innings and see it through. Mind you, and apologies in order, I was looking at the console in front of me and completely missed the fact that there was a catch dropped at cover. The camera didn't pan enough in time, and I thought that will just caress through the offside. So no harm done, as that catch was never taken. This time they get through for a single to put Noman Anwar back on strike. Like the look of Rashid Ramesh. He's looked pretty confident, very good on the drives, good footwork, gets the nice high elbow. So good signs for the Mustangs to see a youngster.
I love to see the youngsters perform. And again, this almost it's an actual league match. In his mind, I think he can afford to treat this like a practice match. So his role right now should just be to bat through the innings.
And that's rather high. I think it was always climbing up, maybe going down the leg side a bit as well. As far as Rishi Ramesh, Brian, the topic of a practice match, it's familiar territories because he's being given a few throwdowns outside the off stump to practice his driving. That's been the kind of bowling he has faced. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of height to it.
He's well down the wicket, and it's bouncing and hitting him on the thigh pad. So unless there's a second set of stumps on top of this set, that's absolutely bouncing over. So just one ball remaining here now, over number 3.
Foolish delivery. This time it's not outside the off stump. This was more in line with the stumps, and Rishi Ramesh closes the bat phase. Was trying to go a little too hard. He's found his feet, 12 of 7, so he's feeling confident, looking to just get on with the game. 3 overs gone. Dallas Mustangs are going at 9 and over, 27 for no loss.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
So Hassan Rashid is going to resume. He bowled a decent first over. There were signs of some good swing, just like that one. Nicely thrown up and invites Rishi Ramesh on that drive. At least the good thing I like about the Hurricanes right now is, in spite of the flow of runs, they've kept that slip. They've persisted. And it's due to the fact that both these bowlers primarily rely on swinging the ball. And it's still semi-new. That's just a perfect delivery. Would want to bring it in towards the off stump just a little bit. There's too much width on it for my liking. Don't let them free their arms. Better delivery, and we told you there's that backward point, which is deep down there. Number 14, I think, is Matthew. 11 is Josh, if I'm correct.
So again, they are twin brothers. Standing next to each other, it's hard to tell them apart. You certainly can't tell them apart from 200 yards away. But I think more to the point, that type of delivery that Hassan Rashid just bowled is closer in line to the off stump, and you certainly keep that slip. You mentioned the slip. Mukhtar Ahmed is there at first slip. I think they keep a slip there throughout the entire day because you cannot miss any opportunities to take wickets.
Yeah, and this is quite short, and it almost set up in the pitch. Had set up for Mukhtar to, in fact, Nauman Anwar to throw that heavy bat at the ball, but he lets it go. And the problem with the total, like 120 odd, is that the batsman can afford to not just come all guns blazing.
Yep.
If they were batting first, I can assure you he was throwing the kitchen sink at that delivery, so they can afford to be a little cautious. As this one is again that very shortish delivery. You have that backward point all right, but this again, I don't know if it's a good line of attack. If you're really planning for him to slash one up in the air and get him to hold out, you're looking for control with this new ball. You have to ask those questions on that fourth stump line in length. You can't get away with these kind of deliveries. Sooner rather than later, there would be one which would just fly off that edge for a 6 over that backward point.
The argument for bowling that type of ball, keeping in mind where a deep backward point is, as this punch into the cover for no run, is that you're not going to hold them to 118 118 for 5 or 121 for 7. You're going to have to bowl them out. And so maybe the thought pattern is, you know what, let's try to buy a wicket. Maybe one slash goes for 6, the other one doesn't exactly hit the bat the same way and it goes down the throat of deep point. So in the context of you developing or looking to defend a below par score, I actually don't mind that type of delivery.
That's slightly better, in my opinion, as the fourth over comes to a close. So just one run off this over. Good couple of overs from Hassan Rashid. He's got away with some freebies in the process. 4 overs gone. It's 28 for no loss.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Welcome back to the Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium. Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship 2023 sponsors the Daffin News in Sunoco. Lakshmi is the official partner of Minor League. Brew is Minor League Cricket's Cricket for the Community partner. And Dolphin Media is Minor League Cricket's outdoor partner. 4 overs bowled, no pressure whatsoever being built by the Houston Hurricanes. 28 runs on the board, and once again, the batters have not even gotten out of first gear yet. Looks like a bowling change from the racecourse end. This appears to now be Kartik Gatepali who will be bowling. This, to me, Munir, feels more like the aggressive nature of bowling a spinner inside the power play, the left arm spinner to the 2 right-handed batters. This is the kind of thing that I think you'd be looking for from Captain Usman Rafiq and the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and Nosh Kenjige, that is, and Ali Sheikh had decent spells in the first inning, so that might be a reason enough. But we discussed this in the first part of this game, the first innings, Brian, that it remains to be seen if this pitch has evened out owing to that overnight dew and some rains, and it's been rolled in nicely. I would think it's more balanced now between swing, seam, and spin as compared to what it was last evening as Karthik starts.
Certainly consideration there. At the toss, Captain Corey Anderson seemed to suggest exactly what you just said. The batting would be better earlier or later in the day, and I think you might be seeing evidence of that as this is punched through short extra cover. Fielder coming off of the boundary at long off the field. So still inside the power play, we have another 10 delivers remaining in the power play. That is Joshua Trump down at deep square leg. Norman Anwar may be eyeing that exact area. And in fact, that I believe is Matthew Trump. Once again, hard to tell the twins apart. But the other fielder outside the circle is who just fielded that ball at long off. Karthik Adepale, left arm spinner around the wicket. It's a good ball. And so, yeah, what you want from now, if you are the Houston Hurricanes, just build pressure. Get a few dot balls in there. Just make the batters do something different. Now bowling again to Norman Anwar. That's too short and it gets the treatment. That is not how to build pressure. The first time that touches down is in about the 15th row over backward square leg.
Yeah, you cannot bowl it there to a batsman of Norman Anwar's caliber. And we've said it might be a good opportunity to for batsmen to get in and get a nice score under their belt. At the same time, if you're the Dallas Mustangs, you're at number 4 in their table. There's extra impetus for topping the table. You go straight into the semifinals. There's also that net run rate you need to watch. I would wonder, with the kind of batting they've got, should they be going all guns blazing and finish this in 12 to 15 overs? We are not weighing Hurricanes much at this moment in time in this game, but keep an eye on those spinners. You just don't know how one wicket brings 2 or 3. It could still be a balanced contest.
It's certainly a consideration. Last ball of over number 5 tickled around the corner. They do go for a single. Rishi Ramesh, his call coming to the danger end, picks up that single without much fuss. Again, they're doing it in a really easy fashion here. 8 runs coming from that over, including that big 6 that you saw. Only needing to score from here at the rate of 6.07. 5 up, the score is 36 without loss. So the last over of the power play, Hassan Rashid will be bowling over number 3. His 2 overs so far, 2, none for 5. Wide outside off stump. And stop me if you've heard this before. Yet another wide. That is extra. Number 6 for the innings so far. Once again, if you're giving away free runs, you don't ever want to do that. But you certainly don't want to do it when you're only defending 127. So the deficit is now only 90. You have 37 runs on the board, still inside the power play. At this stage in Houston's innings, they had 20 runs on the board. So well ahead of the pace that they need to be here of the Dallas Mustangs. This ball is just played down into the offside for single.
Yeah, and the biggest problem so far and the way this innings has panned out is it's been just a walk in the park. They haven't been put under any kind of pressure. No questions have been asked. There have been no appeals because the bowlers haven't just been able to make any kind of impression on these batsmen. And even somebody like Rishi Ramesh, who's just coming in the team off the bench, hasn't batted in this tournament before, even he's finding his going quite easy. And this one, off the inside edge, Sakleen Heather just couldn't get much glove onto it, kind of just deflects it to the boundary. So
bigger issue here for me, look how close this comes to hitting the helmet behind Sakleen Hader. So from around the wicket, edges it, well, maybe not quite that close. So that deflection off the glove of Sakleen Hader would have taken it wide of the helmet. The reason why I'm highlighting that, for those who don't know, if the ball hits the helmet that is on the ground, then that's an automatic 5 runs. So it goes for 4. It would have made a single run difference, but something else to pay attention to. That is an under edge that goes for 4. This next delivery now, bowled by Hassan Rashid down the leg side. Yet another wide. Wide number 7 for the innings so far. And you mentioned that there's been no pressure. About the only potential life, or at least opportunity to get a wicket, was the catch that was dropped at backward point off of Rishi Ramesh. But apart from that, Rishi Ramesh and Naman Anwar, each of whom have faced multiple deliveries. Rishi Ramesh now 18 from 12, and Naman Anwar 17 from 20. Have been under no pressure whatsoever. Driven back past the bowler, but mid-off is right there to clean up. No run.
And one of the other things I'm seeing is they wanted to bring in Sakleen Hader as the left-hander, which is a good call in my opinion. But the fact that your bowlers are spraying the ball all over the place and he's having to dive. Joshua Trump was keeping in the last few games, a more athletic keeper, just because of the age difference. He's young, he's exuberant, 18 years old. Joshua Trump was diving around behind the wickets, and Sakleen has been just put on those odd spots to stop those buys. And so problem of two halves. You want his batting, but he's being just put under the pump when he's behind the wickets. You got to feel for the guy. He's just throwing his body around, and there have been so many buys. Wow.
There's been buys, there's been wides. He's diving to his left, to his right. He's certainly having to do his work behind the stumps to make up for the fact that he's not had very many opportunities in front of them for the last several days. 2 balls remaining in the power play. Oh, that's a good shot looking here by Naman Anwar. Wanted for a split second to go for the big drive one fields, but then checks the stroke and gets it down to mid-on for a single. So Hassan Rashid, 1 ball remaining in his 3rd over, conceded 14 runs already. For the most part has bowled well, but he has needed support, and he's really the only one who's really looked close to being able to build much pressure. Just 1 ball again remaining here in the power play. Last ball to Rishi Ramesh, looking to flash this away again, outside off. Misses on the attempted cut, Rishi Ramesh. 9 runs come from the over. The required rate down to less than a run a ball. Another 82 runs needed from 84 balls faced. We'll be right back.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट में क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Before you get started here, Munir, I wanted to highlight one of our USA cricket fans whose journey I have to document. Phil Milkey, who lives in Cleveland, came all the way here from Cleveland to watch the cricket this weekend. And in addition, not just to come here, but Phil is also going to be going to LA to watch the USA women play. And he shows up in his USA cricket hat. He sometimes takes his 5-year-old with him to go to matches. Any opportunity that he goes, traveled to Toronto a couple of weeks ago to see the team up there, the U19 team we talked about, where Rishi Ramesh is the captain. I think it's just important to highlight any of those super fans who we have who follow not only the USA cricket team, but cricket within the U.S. Cricket doesn't grow in this country without people like Phil Milkey.
Yeah, and Phil has been one of the mainstays with this team. If you were to have a USA Barmy Army, I would have him lead it.
Head of the Barmy Army. We just anointed you.
No doubts whatsoever. And he was even here for the Major League the first weekend. And a lot of us who've seen the national team or have gone to various league tournaments, you'll see Phil. He makes up an appearance every now and then. Usman Rafiq has now come into the attack. Was just checking the Instagram feed of minor league cricket, and that delivery from Nosh Kenjige to bowl Usman Rafiq between the legs has been voted the Lakshmi best bowled of the week.
Wow.
So Usman, although he couldn't make an impression with the bat owing to that magical delivery from Nosh Kenjige, he has a big role to play now with the ball, being the leader of the ship. Everything is going against you, and now as he comes in, just tosses one. Just right in that arc for Noman Anwar. He's not going to miss out. They are cruising at 51. As far as the Hurricanes was concerned, their 50 wasn't even up until the 10th over. 11th, in fact.
Goodness. Well, if this had been the Major League season, and of course Naman Anwar did his damage on the field in the Major Leagues, had this been the Major League season, that would have been in the expensive seats. Those are where the dignitaries are sitting in the comfortable seats. I believe those seats were around $150 each. Big six here by Naman Anwar.
And this one, lot of width on offer, and he plays it backward of point. Some fancy footwork there by who seems to be Hamza Bangash. So not a good start for Usman. You would have expected that Usman will come and make an impression on this game right away. But rather, he's been taken for 8 runs in the first 2 deliveries he's bowled.
Yeah, so it's a matter of looking for pressure. We keep saying that. But the first ball that gets hit over into the expensive seats for 6, the second ball is cut behind point for a couple more. All of a sudden, you're only needing 74 more runs if you are the Dallas Mustangs. And that essentially makes the shoulders of the Houston Hurricanes drop even further.
Yeah, and again, it's in that arc. You're just tossing it up. And like we have said, this pitch is not turning like it was turning last night. And Noman Anwar, being the pro he is, he sidestepped the wicket. He knows what the ball is doing, so he knows that's a relatively safe shot. Be safe there, Joshua. And he's doing some fancy work there on the bar and just climbing up there. As we look at that delivery, Brian.
This absolutely smokes it into the body and just tossing it up right on that length where Naman Anwar can make meat and drinks of it. So 14 from the first 3 deliveries in this, the 7th over. And it doesn't matter whether or not you're in the power play, because it doesn't matter where the fielders are if you're able to hit shots like this if you're Naman Anwar.
Yeah, and this is, again, slightly pitched up, and it's nicely driven for a single. So a couple of sixes, and he does the right thing, gets across. If you are the Dallas Mustangs, you would tell yourself, we are at a comfortable 50-plus now. We just need about 70 runs. You would tell yourself, let's use this as a practice exercise. Let's go and get the 70 runs in the next 7 overs. Let's see if we can chase it down. Given now they've also got that eye on the net run rate. Let's do it in under 15 or 14 overs or so, as this is nicely rotated by Rishi Ramesh. He gets through for a single. He's nicely supporting Noman, who's taken the bulk load of the scoring.
My goodness. So Naman Anwar now 33 from 25 with 2 4s and 3 6s. Back on strike. Plays this to backward point. So that is a dot to finish things here in the over number 7. An expensive one. The first one bowled by the captain. 16 runs coming from it. At the end of 7, the score is 61 without loss.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need 1 hand on the roof, 1 hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go Rewards, when you fuel, you save, because rewards come first.
Just 66 runs required and potential 78 deliveries. You got to believe the Mustangs are not looking to use those 78
No,
deliveries.
they're really not.
And as far as that spin duo was concerned, both have been taken apart for 6s as they've come on. One was hit of Karthik and a couple of Usman. So the biggest throw of the dice also not working, as this is nicely worked by Rishi. He's shown so much maturity, knowing that the senior batsman Nomanan were striking it so well. He's rotated the strike very positively in this inning so far.
As I said earlier, the biggest priority for me the rest of the way, just from a standpoint of development and from a standpoint of confidence, is for Rishi Ramesh to remain not out. It doesn't matter to me what he scores. I just want him to not lose his wicket.
Yeah, a lot of width on offer. Luckily for... It's Karthik Gatapalli who's bowling. We're still showing Hassan Rashid, so hopefully that switch would be made soon. But luckily for Karthik, he didn't find the gap in the field. Hit it straight to that lone fielder patrolling the offside boundary. And nicely tossed up. That's what you want to do. You want to bring the batsman to the front foot, get them to just drag outside the crease and then turn the ball away. So better delivery there from Karthik, but what's been important is you have to keep that line of attack, which Hurricanes have struggled to do. Again, a decent delivery, nicely played of the back foot for a single.
No urgency whatsoever. You don't need to do anything rash. Both of these batters have gotten in. Rishi Ramesh has now faced 18 deliveries. Naman Anwar faced 27.
And that whole range of strokes from Noman Anwar picks it up from well wide outside the off stump and works it to the leg side. Such a player he is. He uses the angles in the field and can play all around the wicket. Very hard to bowl to once he gets off the blocks. He's 35 of 28. Again, that better line in length, right spot where you want to land that delivery. So 8 overs gone. Dallas Mustangs are out off the blocks with 65 for no loss. We'll be right back.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
That's something I like to see. I was just going to bring up that point after Usman got taken for runs and the thought drifted away during the course of previous over. But Mukhtar Ahmed and Saif Badr have been due to bowl. The skipper just hasn't thrown the ball to him. He's played it very safe to a script. We like to see these kind of brave moves. What's the worst that can happen when your frontline bowler has been hit for 16 or so? He starts off with a wide.
Certainly outside the line of off stump. I don't mind the ball being tossed to the leg spinner, Mukhtar Ahmed. See what spin there is in the wicket, whether or not you can generate some movement away from the right-handed hitters. Naman Anwar just dabbing this one into the offside for a single. So you're more than halfway there now if you are the Dallas Mustangs. And Naman Anwar essentially, even though you've gotten to the point where you've gotten most of the way there in terms of the momentum. The momentum completely is in your favor. But you're not quite there yet from the standpoint of the target that you have. And maybe the only decision that you have to make is to what extent do you go for the runs. Struck on the half volley, almost like a bump ball to extra cover. So it's another dot ball, but again, dot balls don't bother you at this stage, Munir.
Not at all, given that they only need 60 runs and 63 deliveries, 59 of 62 now. The rather interesting contest within contest is Noman Anwar being from Pakistan first class circuit, and both these guys have played there. There's a little rivalry between Noman and Mukhtar Ahmed, and Noman would be looking to get under these balls and hit him over. Remains to be seen if he can resist that temptation, as Mukhtar keeps tossing them up. He's literally giving the ball a lot of air.
He is tempting him. There is no question. He's tossing that temptation out there. And it's going to be interesting to see how long Norman Anwar can resist the temptation. Last ball of the over coming up. And boy, you know that he wants to go after him. He won't be facing the last ball, though. This is Rishi Ramesh on strike, and that's played into the offside. Once again, the sweeper on the boundary. That should be Hamza Bangash. Picks up cleanly. 5 runs from the over. A very nondescript over, but an over that is actually keeping them below the required run rate. Just 5.18 is the run rate, but 5 runs come from that over. 9 overs bowled. The score is 70 without loss.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Well, Manir, you and I have commentated on some really exciting games this year. Games that have come all the way down to the last ball, to the last over, where it could go either way at the last minute. This doesn't feel like one of those games.
Yeah, funnier things have happened in cricket, Brian, but I think I can go on a limb and safely say it doesn't look like the tide is going to turn in this game. Just 57 runs needed, all 10 wickets in hand. And there's a little conference going on while the drinks have been brought out. And I wonder what could those discussions be if you're in the Hurricanes camp. It's been a pretty torrid weekend, this trip up north as far as they are concerned. Things haven't gone their way. It's been a very sedate, subdued style of cricket. And as we see, there are a couple of players, in fact a bunch of them, who have not even made it to that. They haven't bothered coming all the way into the huddle. And this is not the first time we've seen this. We have seen this over and over with the Hurricanes. That cohesion in that unit somehow seems to be missing. And those shoulders, the heads, they just tend to drop very quickly into a game as compared to, I'll give you so many examples, Chicago Kingsmen. They were just down and out in that game against Hurricanes, but they kept pumping. They kept just going at the Hurricanes and never gave up. And as we saw, the Hurricanes lost about 10 wickets for 25, 30 runs in that game. Mustangs in a lot of games have shown that kind of energy. No matter what happens in this game, you have the entire season. You're together for 2 months. The vibes you share, that is what you embody and take with you, and you grow as a player, you grow as a team. That's been missing in this unit for me.
You will remember in that Kingsman's game that I was not at your side because I was on the field as an umpire. And exactly what you just mentioned, faced with similar scenarios, the Kingsmen were together as a side. I remember Ravi Bopara bringing the guys in together on the field and saying, hey, we need 2 good overs. All we need is 2 good overs, and then we'll see where we are from there. And you have that mentality, and before you know it, they came all the way back and won the game. That sort of mentality is created by the cohesion that is developed among the team. And it's that sort of mentality that you see that is lacking in the Houston side. And, I hate to belabor the point. Look, I lived in Houston for 22 years. You live in Houston now, and I consider myself, I'll always be a Houstonian. But from the standpoint of being able to describe what you see, or more importantly in this case, what you don't see is cohesion. What you don't see is that togetherness.
Yeah, and also, I'll come back to that after this delivery. Karthik continuing in his second over. Normal services have resumed as far as the Mustangs are concerned. Just pretty easy for them out there. What I did notice was the members who didn't come into that huddle were the youngest members of the squad. So although Josh and Matthew are some of the brightest talents, not just in this roster, in the entire minor league and in this country, also at times it's more than just the runs and wickets. It's what you bring to the table as a complete package. And there's some wit to it, and one of those brothers, it's rather Matthew, who tries to chase it, but that ball evades him by a good 10 yards.
Yeah,
A lot of times
Trump.
that's energy, Brian, that you bring in as a team player, and it's got to do more than just the scores, the numbers. And being the youngest member, you need to be the most chirpy. You need to be running back and forth, cheering every ball in, regardless of the situation. Same goes for the wicketkeeper. Hasaklan has been just quiet behind the wickets. We are not hearing any kind of cheers. Just like we said, the shoulders, the demeanor, the head, everything is just dropped. Down and out is the body language.
So after we've already buried the Houston Hurricanes, let's describe what happens in the rest of this match. Naman Anwar, shy down at the stumps. Not going to try to take a run there, though. Yeah, so a long way of saying there's some work for the Hurricanes to do, but in the context of this game, 51 runs needed, 63 balls to go, so only needing to score from here, the Dallas Mustangs at the rate of 4.86 and over. Gatepali, that should just be one run. Gatepali doing the fielding himself. And just 2 balls now remaining in over number 10. 77 on the board, even 50 runs needed the rest of the way. 50 runs required in 62 balls, so the small target rate of 4.84 is what's required. Maybe the only intrigue left in this match is whether or not one of these two opening batters, more than likely Naman Anwar, can get to 50. But it's all very easy at this stage. In the air for a bit, but that gets through the captain in the covers. Single down to Matthew Trump, fielding on the square boundary on the offside. His brother is exactly 180 degrees away from him at deep square leg. And yeah, this took on the feel of a practice match several deliveries ago. Any opportunity to build some pressure has been lost. 9 extras contributed to that loss of pressure. And this ball is a good delivery. Forces Naman Anwar into the back foot, not taking any chances and forcing it down the ground for a single. So 9 coming from over number 10. Easy as you like. 79 without loss after 10.
वक्त आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
As you see that relaxed camp of the Dallas Mustangs, they've been pretty clinical as well. There have been no signs of acceleration. They're playing well within themselves. And they know that this game is well within their grasp. They have got 1 foot over the finishing line. So it's just a matter of time as Mukhtar is going to continue. And Rishi Ramesh, or rather that's Noman Anwar, more characteristic of Noman Anwar. And we spoke about this, Brian, in that previous over of Mukhtar, that he's going to continue tossing it up.
Yeah.
But there's that little camaraderie / rivalry between the two from that Pakistan national team setup, or rather the domestic setup. You like getting an ace over your partner or your friend there, and that is exactly what Noman does.
Well, Roddy Lauman from SC Tech and Productions is getting what he wanted. He asked us, or he asked the bowlers a few overs ago to toss the ball up so we can be through with this. Well, accepting the invite that time was Naman Anwar, and so 1 run away from his 50. Mukhtar Ahmed, quick bowled him that time. And there is a 50. Easy as you like. You hear the applause around the stadium because Naman Anwar has gotten to that 50, and that may be the last bit of intrigue left in this match, Munir.
Yeah, and you hear the cheers coming from the dugout of the Mustangs.
Yep.
It did the rounds. It echoed around the stadium, this beautiful facility. As far as the Hurricane are concerned, there haven't been much of that. They haven't been chirpy. There's been no noise coming out of their dugout. And I'll give you one quick update, which is a very interesting development as we look at the points table. We'll come back to it after this delivery. Rishi is facing, and he was trying to get it away for a single, couldn't, so a dot ball. The Mustangs right now sit at number 5 in that Pacific Conference table, looking at the playoff spot from the outside. And he's going to continue Mukhtar and nicely played for a single. Rishi has done that all day long. Currently, Michigan Cricket Stars, Chicago, Kingsman, Lone Star Athletics, and Dallas Euphoria Giants is how that table stands.
Interesting.
With this win from number 5, Dallas Mustangs are going straight to number 1.
Whoa.
Because they'll also have 10 points, but in one game less than Michigan and Chicago. So they'll go to 10 points of 7 games, but with the healthiest net run rate. And this one takes the top edge and flies straight over the keeper. When you're not in luck, it's not your day, nothing goes with you. And a lot of other days, this one would have gone straight to that fielder, a short third or the fine leg. Not on this occasion. Fortune favors the brave, and bravery has been on display by the Mustangs and Noman Anwar today.
Say more about the playoff seedings and how many teams get in, etc. Because you're about the person who's more well-versed than that than anybody I know, including the statisticians who work for minor league cricket.
So it's a very interesting, you bring up that point, it's a very interesting setup this year.
In fact, hold that thought because that's the end of the over. End of 1 or make that end of 11, 92 without loss.
Yeah, we'll come back to it in the next over.
Took that last corner pretty quick.
Sir, I need one hand on the roof, one hand on the pump.
Timeout for Sunoco Go Rewards.
Keep pumping.
With new Sunoco Go rewards, when you fuel, you save because rewards come first.
All right, folks, we left you at a very interesting turn of events in this tale. Not a lot to report from what's going on in the middle. It's in front of your eyes, but we spoke about that table for the Pacific Conference. As Karthik is going to continue his third over, just looking for that single. What I do like about the way minor league teams are stacked, unlike a lot of other tournaments, is you're playing that long Premier League kind of a season. You're playing 10 games each in your conference. And this one it might be a long hawk, and that's a beautiful catch by the fielder. Unfortunately, it was always going over, so he does well to keep the ball inside play. Mukhtar Ahmed is the fielder there, so just a couple of runs.
Oh, in fact, he saved 5 runs.
Yeah. In fact, that was, just a single. They didn't come back for a second. So as you look at that replay,
that's good work. In the context of this game, doesn't matter a lot, but you always like the effort. Look at Norman Anwar, who just knows that he has a 6. Ooh, that foot may just have come down. That might have been 6. And that's a simple catch, the backward point. So Rishi Ramesh looking to get maybe a little bit too cute, looking to run this fine behind point and gets too healthy an edge and guides it straight to backward point. So the first wicket goes down. Rishi Ramesh, 27 from 29 balls faced. I really did want him to bat all the way through the innings. He's not able to do that this time. Ends up losing his wicket. The first wicket falls 93 for 1.
I'd like to see Ali Sheikh get a promotion. He hasn't had a lot of chances. The top order has been firing in such a manner, but highly unlikely when you're such a settled unit.
Yeah.
You could expect Sujit Gora to walk out. But quite interesting, that catch. I think we can just talk about it in hindsight, but if that was a 6, Noman would be on strike. Rishi's not coming back. But it's very hard. It's just touch and go. We just can't say with surety what happened on that occasion. As I think this
By the way, that's not Sujit Gowda. From here, hard to tell. Looks like a left-hander.
Yeah, very hard to tell. It's going by the physique, it could be a Sujit Gora or it could be a Ali Sheikh. Just hard to say. We'll find out soon. Now this is a better view.
Oh, it is
Gowda.
Gowda.
It is Gowda, yeah.
Is he wearing a left-hander's pads? Because those appear to be left-hander's pads from here. But anyway, back to what you were saying about the standings.
Yeah, so the good thing about these standings is, which is, I think, you can compare this, and I don't find this trend in any other tournaments, even the franchise T20 tournaments across the world, is you
by
are...
the way, take a look at this again. We're getting to see the 6.
We just can't get through that.
No, we're trying. We really are trying. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You make the call.
Yeah, watch that left. In
Right
fact, the
foot.
right foot as he
Catch
lands.
taken.
Yeah, that's a
Oh.
definite 6. Again, it's. I think we'll have to backtrack a few times, zoom in. Could be touch and go, fingertip stuff.
I think that's 6.
Yeah, so going by that, if we are so definitive, Rishi Ramesh shouldn't be on strike. Noman Anwar should have been there, so the kid would feel he's been deprived of a not out. Let's ask Roddy what his take is. He'll speak into our ear monitors. Okay, we'll look at that again. We'll try to slow it down right at that point.
Catch.
Toe on the ground.
yeah.
Again, I think we just have to pause it at some moment in time, but there may not be an opportunity to do that. There you go. And let's roll it forward just a little bit and pause it. I think we've gone too far back in time. Won't bring that back. We don't want to delve into controversies. Rishi is back in the dugout. That was just a 1 run. Let's move on.
There's
folks.
actually no controversy. That's 6.
So Sujit Gora, who's in now, just knocks it for a single. Let me get through this before something else comes through. So the team that tops the table goes straight through to semifinals.
Got it.
Number 2 team is going to wait for the winner of not playoff, but number 3 and 4 teams as per the standings. And those 2 teams, the winner of number 3 and 4 standings versus the number 2 team, the winner of that game is going to go into the semifinals as well. So that's how you get your 2 semifinals. Unlike the other trend where 1 plays 2, 3 plays 4, and then eliminator. So this is a slightly different and more interesting format. And I like the fact that if you top your table, you're rewarded with a semifinal berth straight away.
That's good information. And just a single to close things out here in over number 12. Only the small matter of 32 runs separating the Dallas Mustangs from victory, and they have 9 wickets in hand. 94 for 1. We'll be right back. Make that 95 for 1. We'll be right back. So just 32 more runs needed for the for the Dallas Mustangs. And the new bowler coming from the racecourse end is going to be Saif Badar. Has not bowled much this season.
I'll add something more to the discussion where we left this off. I said that Mustangs would go top of the table. Very interestingly, Seth starts and Brian, I'll let you call
Out
this.
up the ground. 1 bounce on the terrace into the lawn towards the racecourse end. My goodness, that is hammered. The cleanest strike. You've seen a lot of 6s from the bat of Naman Anwar today. Immediately umpire Partha Patanaik calls for the replacement ball. You're not getting that one back for a while.
Yeah, let's wait for the replay to come through. But the point I was making was Dallas would be going top of the table momentarily because in the afternoon, Lone Star Athletics and Exforia Giants play, and they both are on 9 points. So one of those teams, when the sun sets today, would be top of the table. It won't be Dallas Mustangs. Tonight, either Lone Star Athletics or Exforia Giants would sleep pretty, knowing that they're top of the table in the Pacific Division.
Wow. Amazing action. And with that 6 and then the subsequent single, you're only a quarter of a century of runs away from victory here if you're the Mustangs. So the Mustangs clearly have a lot to play for. In and among the thick of things at the top of the standings, the Houston Hurricanes we don't need to bury them any more than we already have verbally. Let's just say that they'll be better next year than they are right now. And Saif Badar, 2 deliveries into his spell, has already conceded 7 runs. And this is going to be Sujit Gowda, one of the leading batters in the tournament from last year. Hasn't done as much with the bat this year, just 30 runs total from 6 matches played. But he's a genuine striker of the ball. That's played square away in the offside. That is Hamza Bangash at deep point to clean up.
Yeah, he's quite an accumulator in the local leagues here in the NTCA and also in a lot of premier private tournaments, franchises he plays for. And he's been given that crucial number 3. So he wants to get some runs under his belt as this is skied in the air. And that's now a simple catch for Usman Ashraf, who's the 12th man for this game. So unfortunately for Noman Anwar, he was going all guns blazing. He was picking pace. He gets out at just the wrong time with just 24 runs remaining.
24 runs remaining. Usman Ashraf coming in as a substitute. We saw for a while there, Mohamed Asif was off the field. He's back on, so not sure exactly who Usman Ashraf has replaced. But the bigger story here, the wicket falls of Noman Anwar, who did the hard work. Much of the heavy lifting has already been completed. 64 from 44 balls faced, 5 sixes to go along with his 4 fours. Batted excellently and made sure that there was no doubt as to what the result of this match was going to be. The only difference now for me is what the final score is or in what over this match ends. Interestingly, the captain has brought himself out, Corey Anderson. Corey Anderson, who is not only the leading batter for the Mustangs this year in 6 matches, he has scored 294 runs, 19 fours, 25 sixes, 3 50s, with a high score of 95 and a strike rate of 178. So not only is he one of the leading batters in the entire, well, for the team, but he is the second, has the second highest number of runs in the entire Pacific Conference. The only person in the conference who has more runs than him is Nicholas Curtin with the Michigan Cricket Stars. And easily with the highest number of runs, the highest number of sixes with 25 in the conference. So bear in mind, Corey Anderson, at the most, he can hit 4 sixes, so he can't add very much to it. But I don't think he'll be coming in looking for sixes. I think he'll just be coming in to do the right thing, to just, if necessary, turn the strike over. He won't necessarily, not hit a bad ball if he gets one, but that's not going to be his priority. Priority right now, I think, is just to make sure that you put bat to ball and then just get through this match without much more damage.
Yeah, you almost now want to withdraw those leg spinners who have been tossing the ball up to the right-handers.
They're not going to toss this up. It's absolutely not going to be tossed up.
But we have seen with Corey Anderson, he doesn't mind soaking up a few deliveries, sets himself up, and then explodes. He won't have a lot of time to explode as only 20-odd runs are required. But like I said, you don't want those legs. Almost the moment Corey Anderson walked out, you would think, can we just replace the bowler right at this point in time? Can we just change something here? Because you just don't want that leggy tossing the ball up to the arc of Corey Anderson.
Oh, he floated that one up exactly where Corey Anderson would have wanted it if he were to get on his hands and knees and pray for a first delivery. That would have been it right there. Tossed up absolutely on a tee, and that lands 90 meters away. Over in the same direction, this will just be, in fact, just 2. They come back for the second. Good work out there by Hamza Bangash. Well, we thought Corey Anderson might just push it around and get 1s and 2s. Clearly, he has other things in mind. Maybe it's the net run rate conversation that you just had, Munir. 16 come from that over. A wicket along to go with that. 111 for 2 after 13.
आ गया है लक्ष्मी बासमती राइस को घर लाने का। लक्ष्मी एक्स्ट्रा लॉन्ग बासमती राइस। इसका हर दाना हो इतना लंबा, पकते हुए महके और प्लेट पे क्या खूब खिले।
हाँ, मेरे घर लाने का।
Once again, probably for the final time in this match, we are watching the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship 2023. Our official partner, Lakshmi, brought to you by Daffin News and Sunoco. Brew is Minor League Cricket's Cricket for the Community partner, and Dolphin Media is the outdoor partner for Minor League Cricket. Usman Rafiq bringing himself back on, and will be bowling to Sujit Gowda. First delivery outside the off stump. Goes through without much fuss. So 16 runs needed, Munir, 41 balls to get them in. Sort of a foregone conclusion as to how this one will end. Sujit Gowda joins the party. That might bang off the scoreboard. In fact, lands just short of the scoreboard in the seats over at section 111, I believe that is. That is 6, so we are only 10 runs away from this match being done and dusted. So any final words, because we're almost there now.
Also kind of tells you how the Hurricanes have slipped during the course of the season, because the season opener between these two was such an evenly fought contest. And a month later on, you find such a huge gap has opened up between these two teams. Dallas Mustangs have gone strength to strength. They've looked a better side with every game. And Hurricanes have just got a lot of thinking to do. The next couple of games which are coming up against that crosstown rival, so to say, friend or foe in the form of Lone Star Athletics, they would want to close the season on a positive note.
Yep.
It's done and dusted for them with stamped authority as far as this game is concerned and as far as the season is concerned. But yeah, on the road trip back, I think they can just put their feet up, relax, and just come with the positive mindset. Just close the season with some kind of an intent and look to leave some impression. Play entertaining cricket, play enterprising cricket rather than the subdued approach they've shown over and over again.
Boy, so 1 ball remaining now in over number 14. 119 is the score, only another 8 runs needed. So 2 strokes away from this match being finished. So just got, short and cut to backward point. Very short. In fact, that might have surprised Sujit Gowda with how short it was, but ends up being a dot ball. 8 runs coming from that over. And the end of 14 sees the score, Dallas Mustangs 119 for 2.
What's up, Doug? What got into you?
At Sunoco, we know how to fuel peak performance. Fuel your best.
Through the final rituals in this game, the last rites, so to say, it seems like Saif Badr is going to continue and he would be bowling to it's that man, Corey Anderson. So some entertainment may be coming our way. Only 8 runs are required. And you see that healthy run rate. They've gone at 8.5 and over. And as I look at over by over charts, this is a better delivery, slightly more flat. Didn't toss it up as much. There have been those 13, 16, 15 run overs in this innings. A bunch of them as compared to the Hurricane innings, which was just very dry overall. And this one, did it take a bottom edge? So Glenn Heather seemed to hint that he could have had a chance to take it on second shuffle.
Well, he reacted as though it came off the edge. Let's see here. Can't tell much from that angle.
Drop chance.
That's a drop. Oh, Corey Anderson looking for the opportunity to end this match. Couldn't exactly do it with 1 stroke, but he does get 4 here. And in fact, that was an outside edge that went through deep third. Only another 4 runs needed. And Corey Anderson, I think, is looking to end this match with 1 more strike.
Yeah, it's in fact been signaled buys.
Oh, it was buys. Okay, apologies.
Yeah, and what Saif is trying to do is push it away, stay away from the arc, but Corey Anderson can fetch it.
Yes.
The score somehow shows 129 because of that 6 that somehow showed up. That's not correct. And this one might be the final rights in this game, as they'll come back for a couple more runs. So it's, in fact, that's a boundary. So the game comes to a close owing to that wide ball. And Dallas Mustangs have been so clinical. It's been just a complete performance for them as far as every department of the game is concerned. They came out with a new ball. The bowlers were right on the money. And the spinners did the job through the middle overs, and the pair of Ruman Rais and Ehsan Adil were just very good, bowled to perfection in the death. And when the batters came out, they knew what the target was, paced the innings to perfection, accelerated when needed, put away the bad balls, and this is a complete performance as far as I'm concerned from the Dallas Mustangs.
They did not have much work to do with the bat because of their excellence with the ball. And say what you want about, we've said plenty about the Houston Hurricanes, but much of the result in this match is due to the excellence of the Dallas Mustangs. So there you see the batting lineup. Norman Anwar and Rishi Ramesh at the very top, setting the tone, 64 from 44 and 27 from 29 respectively. Sujit Gowda and Corey Anderson coming in to apply the finishing touches. Corey Anderson with that huge 6 and then a couple of boundaries in that last over. So a pretty straightforward victory in a game that really never felt like it was going to be close. The bowlers, expensive from Mohamed Asif. Hassan Rashid bowled well, 3 overs, none for 14. And the spinners got some stick. Usman Rafiq, 12 economy rate. So did Saif Badar, same economy rate. And to the extent that you wanted somebody to build pressure with the ball, it just didn't happen for the Houston Hurricanes. So a pretty straightforward victory in the end.
And I'm just waiting for the table to update. Like I've been saying, that Dallas Mustangs after this game, owing the 2 points they've earned from this result, would move to the top of the table, and which they have. 5 wins out of 7 games. They've just lost 2 games. 10 points and a net run rate of 1.3. As we see this match summary, not much to bank on as far as the Houston Hurricanes are concerned. Couple of very subdued, slow-paced innings from them, but it was that man, Nosh Kenjige, time and again. He's the pick of the bowlers, and so was Roman Rais. He was very good with the new ball and also in the death. And as does Hamaz Azam do in multiple Mustangs games, comes through the middle overs, bowls nice tight and line and length, and just goes for 20 runs in his 4 overs. And when the Dallas Mustangs came, initially there may have been some questions whether they lose early wickets and the Hurricanes can crawl their way back. After just a couple of overs or so, we knew this game was only going one way, and it was never going to flip on its head as far as the Mustangs were concerned. And it was that pro Noman Anwar, with all his experience and skill, putting it to good use with an innings of 64, and he was well supported by the young man Rishi Ramesh. So that is the news out here from the middle. The Dallas Mustangs have not only won this game by 8 wickets, but they've also moved top of the table, at least for now.
For now.
Come midnight, it would be either Lone Star Athletics or Dallas Exforia Giants who would be top of the table if we do have a result. Unless that game is called off or it's rained out. Too soon to predict. But we'll join you in about 3.5 hours from now. 7:30 p.m. is the start time for that crucial game between Dallas Exforia Giants and Lone Star Athletics. You all have a good afternoon. We'll see you soon.
At number 5 with 83 runs. This is struck through the offside. That may have the legs to get to the boundary. Lovely looking stroke. Strike.
And again, he just throws one up. He tried that previously to Noman Anwar. And another one of those. This time he drives it more convincingly, and this might race to the boundary, and the fielder just
bowling again to Norman Anwar. That's too short, and it gets the treatment. That is not how to build pressure. The first time that touches down is in
this tournament before. Even he's finding his going quite easy, and this one off the inside edge. Saqlain Heather just couldn't. Leader of the ship. Everything is going against you, and now as he comes in, just tosses one
further.
Yeah, and again it's in that arc. You're just tossing it up, and like we have said, this pitch is not turning like it was turning last night. As Mukhtar is going to continue, and Rishi Ramesh, or rather that's Noman Anwar, more characteristic of Noman Anwar games, but with the healthiest net run rate. And this one takes the top edge and flies straight over the keeper when you're playing 10 games each in your conference. And this one, it might be a long hawk, and that's a beautiful catch by the fielder. Unfortunately, it was always going over, so he does well to keep
ground. One bounce on the terrace into the lawn towards the racecourse end. Mike.
3. So he wants to get some runs under his belt as this is skied in the air. And that's now a simple catch for Usman Ashraf, whose 20-odd runs are required. But like I said, you don't want those legs. Almost when the moment Corey Anderson walked out.
So just Gowda joins the party. That might bang off the scoreboard. In fact, lands just short of the scrap. Oh, Corey Anderson looking for the opportunity to end this match. Couldn't exactly do it.
Showed up. That's not correct. And this one might be the final rights in this game, as they'll come back for a couple more runs. So it's, in fact, that's a boundary. So
You're watching the Sunoco Minor League Cricket Championship, brought to you by our 2023 partners.